Hey guys, I think there's a few people watching, about three. um, God, my hair looks like freaking messed up. I have witch hair, as Steve so eloquently puts it. Um, so yeah, let me just check some here. Well, looks like we got about three people watching. Yeah. Okay. Um, but I'm not sure if Texas is in here or not because he has been putting like alterations to the Rainbow Eyes lyrics. And I didn't see that. So um I will say, please pardon my appearance. I I've been having like, I know y'all are probably so sick of hearing me talk about my health problems, but health wise I've been having a pretty rough day today. I had to lay down and take a little cat nap a little earlier, just because in addition to the other things, when I get real congested, I start feeling dizzy and stuff. So I have to watch how quickly I get up. If I'm sitting down, if I'm lying down, I have to, take it easy when I go to get up because it it's just really makes my head all swimmy. Um, but and I've still the second bout of paperwork that I've got to get to my um, primary care physician. I've already dropped it off, but I I really don't have much hope that they're going to go ahead and get it filled out. They told me they would, but I told Steve. Well, Steve actually told me. He said you might end up having to take a Uber to over to the doctor's office. He said because I'll be working and sit there all day until they decide that they're going to ask you what you need. Um, and I'm like, well, then what if I am there all day and they, say, well, she can't fill it out without seeing you as a patient. Well, I couldn't get in to see her until October 25th. I've got to have this paperwork filled out by next Wednesday, and back to the HR department. And I explained that to them when I went over Friday evening, or Friday afternoon, rather, not really evening, and told them I have to have this paperwork back to my HR department by the 21st of September. And they were like, oh, okay, well, that gives a little less than 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah. But I mean, they didn't give it to me, they didn't give it to me and give me 4 weeks time to they want this stuff back. And I mean, there's a fax number on there. I've already filled out my part. But I don't know what these doctors are gonna do with this shit. I mean, I don't know if I think we lost a viewer because I was talking about my health stuff and the HR stuff. I guess everybody's just really, I mean, honestly, guys, I'm sick of dealing with it too. But if the HR department's going to be persnickety and like this over, what am I supposed to do? I'm kind of, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of at their mercy. And I keep asking Steve, what am I going to do if they do this? What am I going to do if the doctor refuses to fill it out? What am I going to do if she does fill it out, gets it sent in, and they act like jerks about it, just like they did about the mental health issues, and let me go to all this trouble and turn myself inside out in an effort to get it into them. And then they say, you're still going to have to come back to work. I asked Steve, I said, are they going to go against federal guidelines for long COVID? for CDC. We're talking about the Center for Disease Control here. That's a federal entity. Are they really gonna say, you gotta come back? We don't give a shit if you've got fevers. You got to come back and expose everybody in the office to this stuff. I mean, are they gonna be that callous? Plus the fact that I feel like shit most days. It takes everything I've got to come back here to my desk and do, to take my phone calls like I'm supposed to, take tickets, be in the queue, be active all day long from 7:30 to 4:30. Um, and they just seem, hey, Darren, they just seem to be totally, not willing to work with me at all. So Steve says, just Dana, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be all right. But I said, well, what if it's not all right? What if, um, they just decide to fire me? They just say, fuck it, and then just fire me, you know? And two, I told Steve, I said, if they do make me go back with my nerves as bad as they are, plus the illness that's compounding everything, plus the stress that they put me under for the past 2-3 weeks, um, what kind of shape am I really going to be in to go back to work? What if my work performance really suffers and they just go ahead and say, fuck it, we're going to fire her because she's not up to snuff. She's not, and that's all I mean, they don't really have to have a reason for firing me because unfortunately Kentucky's an at-will state. Um, but all they would have to do if somebody, hey, Milelect, I'm talking about HR people, which was your one of your former job positions. Um, and I'm certainly not talking bad about you. I'm just talking bad about my situation because of what's going on. But anyway, um, yeah, I don't want to keep going on about that. I want to get to something fun, but I do have to. Um, yeah, I wish I was a stress-free person, intellect, actually. Unfortunately, I'm full of stress, but I uh, I do have to return to work, not in the office just yet, but I do have to work tomorrow. So I want to get to the movies so I can be as stress free during this part as I can be. And as long as I don't get to feeling any worse, I think I can make it through these 12 movies. If not, I will try to make a second part to this. Um, and go over the rest of them in a later time. But I'm going to try to go through all of them. I did want to, I don't know if I'm going to do an unboxing or not because Tuesday is right now it's my Argento versus Fulci day. And, we're going to be going into week 3 of Argento versus Fulci. So, um, I don't know, if I wanna do an unboxing for some items I'm gonna get in from Amazon. I'm supposed to get them in Tuesday. Now that remains to be seen. But if I don't do an unboxing, I will definitely kinda show them real quick as long as they've come in, as long as they come in on Tuesday like they're supposed to. And I'll just go ahead and tell you the ones that are supposed to come in Tuesday. I'm supposed to get the Fog 4K, um, Friday the 13th 4K, and Fatal Attraction 4K. They're all supposed to be coming in on Tuesday. And then I think I've got one coming in on the 22nd of September and one coming in on the 23rd of September. Um, that I think Poltergeist and Lost Boys are coming in a little bit earlier than was originally thought. Um, X-ray saying Fatal Attraction Beaver Edition. I don't know about that, but it's going to be a 4K in any event. And then, of course, Tuesday night, like I said, that'll be week 3 of Argento versus Fulci. Wednesday night will be Cheese Extreme Wednesday. And of course, we'll be having another watch along. Yeah, we'll have a watch along this Saturday because. So, Darren, you say Amazon usually delivers a day early here. Sometimes they do here, Darren, but it seems like after all the stuff started unfolding with the pandemic, then Amazon got really shitty about, I don't think before the pandemic really got bad, I don't think I ever had any trouble with Amazon. I can't recall having maybe once. But after the pandemic, it's like it's like, we don't give a shit, or at least over here in the States anyway. We don't give a shit. We'll get the stuff to you whenever we feel like it. And their excuse always was the pandemic, or it would be, and sometimes instead of having the Amazon delivery drivers deliver the stuff to me, they would send it through the post office, which always took longer. And I was like, why do you guys do that? I talked to them in chat more than once because I said, usually this stuff that comes, and I've got Prime, and I get 2-day shipping on a lot of stuff. Sometimes you get 1-day shipping, sometimes you get same-day shipping. But, like, after the pandemic hit, it seemed like they just willy-nilly did what they wanted to. So I asked them more than once about this. I said, "Why?" I said, "The Amazon drivers get it here on time. Why are you sending my stuff through the post office? Because that always messes things up." And they said, "Well, we try to use the shipping service that's gonna be quickest for you." I'm like, "It's not quick." I'm telling you that, guys, I've told you it multiple times that it's not quick, and you keep doing it. So, and they were like, "Well, we'll give you a free month of Prime, or we'll refund your money for Prime." But anyway, I kind of got off on a rant about Amazon, didn't I? X-ray, you want to know when we getting Mate versus Fragrasso? Um, I'm thinking maybe soon. Maybe we'll do that after the Argento versus Fulci series. What do you think about that, X-ray? Does that sound good? Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I saw the film The Visit in the drive-in. Me and my buddy looked at each other and said, "This movie is terrible." Needless to say, we went to a party instead, and I smoked the joint. The joint, it was better. um, The Visit. I think that's one. I don't think I was actively trying to avoid it, but I cannot recall watching it. Honestly, cannot. So I don't think I did. Yes, old Curly Jaws is in the house, Darren. Um, Dude, though, oh Curly Jaws, where were you last night? Is that when y'all went to see The Visit? Is that why you weren't in the watch along? Because I invited you. I invited you to be live on the stream. Um, I was overjoyed to have Texas and um, Darren in there, and come to think of it, where is Texas tonight? Does anybody know where Texas is? Is he busy with Miss Tex? Which I'm not saying he's got to be in here every time I do one of these. It's just like when I have regulars in here, when they're not in here, I take notice. Oh, Curly Georgie say, "Oh, honey, I was high off balls. There's no way I could have been able to be on the street." Well, that it certainly could have been entertaining, maybe. Um, X-ray, you said the visit that one of them woke elevated joints. I don't know. I maybe old Curly Jaws has got some insight into maybe if it's a woke film or not. Um, I because honestly, I don't recall watching it, so I must have skipped out on that one. Um, oh, Curly Jaw's wanting to know when the next live stream gathering is. That you'll be on that, you promise. Well, if you'd be interested in joining in on the next watch along I do, which honestly, like I was getting ready to say, I had Darren in Texas on last night. I didn't think I was going to get Darren on, but then Darren was like, "Yeah, can you send me that link again?" And man, I think Texas and Darren had a pretty good time. I had a blast. Of course, health wise, I felt, and it wasn't anything to do with, doing that live stream and talking a lot before and after the movie with Texas and Darren. But I just I could not go. After that, I had a headache, my fever shot up. And I just think that's par for the course with this long COVID, unfortunately, that I never know when that kind of stuff is going to happen. And, I had a busy weekend, but I really wanted to do that watch along. And I had such a blast that we went on a little bit over 4 hours total. So yeah, if, actually, I was going to say, I was going to reveal what the, you know what? That's not my right paper. Actually, hold on. Let me get my notebook because that's where I wrote some stuff down last night. And actually, guys, I forgot to turn on my little astronaut, so um, I may later on, um, turn that on. So, Darren, you say, yeah, it was fun for sure. I can literally talk for whales, though. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, next watch along, Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. Well, you know what? Oh, Curly Jaws, I will certainly put that in my wheelhouse for like a future one. I'm going to write that down right now. But here's what I'm thinking. We talked about these are the ones that me and Texas and Darren sort of came up with a list. Because I'm doing ones that we decided on a little while back, like the first Sunday of the month. I'm doing one, which for October, the first Sunday of that month, we're going to be doing a watch along for Don't Go in the House. And that was actually one that Darren brought up. But I do have Bloody Bloody Bible Camp on my list here. Oh, Curly Jaws. But we talked about several different ones. But what I'm thinking of doing the next one on for Saturday is Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, because that movie is got, I mean, that movie's got so many things that we could, one, make fun of, two, that is just so outrageous that it's going to be fun to watch. Um, in my opinion, it's got the off the wall, batshit crazy Susan Terrell in it. And oh, Curly Jaws, if you've never seen Susan Terrell in a movie, man, you're in for a treat. Um, Darren, you say, I actually had Bloody Bloody Bible Camp and never opened it. I mean, I've had plenty of opportunities to watch it, and I keep telling old Curly Jaws I'm going to watch it. And now that I've got it on my list of watch alongs that we're going to do at some point in time, and trust me, all these ones that we made a list of, I'm eventually going to work those in, because I mean, heck, you've got what, 4 Saturdays a month. So, we can do 4 watch-alongs plus the bonus one the first Sunday of the month. So we'll have plenty of opportunities for different movies. But just to let you guys know, for those of you that weren't in here last night during the watch-along for Evil Laugh, we did discuss Savage Streets, Slumber Party Massacre 2, Student Bodies, Hard to Die, and now, thanks to you reminding me again, oh Curly Jaws, we've got Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. Oh Curly Jaws, you say, wait, ain't that a Charles Band movie? I cannot wait. Um, I could be wrong, and you guys feel free, Darren, X-Ray, um, to correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I didn't think that Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker had anything to do with Charles Band. Am I wrong on that? I mean, did he have something to do with that? Actually, I don't know if I've got that on my shelf back here. Because Steve did buy me, I think he bought me a DVD copy, and he bought me a Blu-ray copy. But I'm betting it's over. I'm betting it's back in the living room. Which, geez, sorry guys, I'm not gonna go back there and dig that out. But if somebody knows for sure whether Charles Band had something to do with that, feel free to correct me. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say Evil Dead 2013 watch along the gummy edition. Well, I would certainly consider it. That's probably the only way I'll ever watch that damn thing again, would be to do a watch along. Um, I'm not going to watch it, without, some form of entertainment like that. Um, but mine will be Sans Gummies. I'll just have to tell you that, just because I don't know, you know, no offense to anybody that takes the gummies or smokes pot or whatever. But I just and I have been told, like, the edibles, like the gummies, give you a little bit of a different high than smoking it. So um perhaps I would do better if I was smoking the pot rather than eating a gummy. I don't know. But it's kind of the way I felt on just one gummy, and I split that sucker in half and took one half, and then 45 minutes later, I took the other half, and I still felt freaked out. And so that experience really doesn't make me want to partake of those again, especially anytime soon. So I would consider it. I'm actually going to write that down. Um, I think CK West might have asked me too if I would consider, doing that like a watch along with them, which could be another possibility. We never have done our watch along or our commentary for prom night. I need to ask Wes about that too. Um, Darren, you say it's not Charles Band, that's Tourist Trap. You may be thinking of. I got you. Okay, yeah, because I know Tourist Trap is, and I enjoy Tourist Trap as well. But you guys can look forward to Saturday, barring anything worse happening to me health wise. That we are going to do a watch along for Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker on Saturday. Um, now, Steve tells me right now that he's going to take this coming Saturday off from doing his stream. I can hear y'all going, "Oh, now," but he says he needs a little break, and I assume that he'll be back the following Saturday. But that may mean that if he sticks with that, I may start the Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker watch along at 6 rather than 7, if that is agreeable to everybody. But so I'm trying to think if there's, there may be, I'll probably, me, guys, I'll probably try to figure out something to do Monday if work's not too upsetting, or HR doesn't ruffle my feathers again. Um, Tuesday, I will definitely be doing the Argento versus Fulci week 3. Um, Wednesday will be Cheese Extreme Wednesday. Uh, and I don't know about Thursday and Friday. Let me see how things go with me health wise, and we will. If I feel up to it, I will certainly try to come up with something to talk about. So, with all of that being said, and I did forget to put all my lovely links, but those links for the Etsy shop, for my uh YouTube channel, for my Deadites on Deck Facebook page, etc., T Public. Um, they are all on like previous videos. So if you're subscribed to my channel, or keep up with the Deadites on Deck stuff, then you will definitely be able to see those links and descriptions for previous videos. And Steve asked me today, I was back here getting the stuff ready for tonight. Oh my goodness, we dropped down to 2 viewers. Lord, did I chase everybody away? I hope not, because I'm just about ready to get to the movies. But anyway, he stepped back here while I was getting the stuff ready for tonight, and he said, "You still using the free version of StreamYard, right?" And I said, "Yes, Steve, I'm still using the free version, but I am edging ever closer to using the pay for version." So um, I think, although I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna leave OBS on my computer, because there may be times where I just, I don't know, kick it old school and then do the OBS thing. Once in a great while. But I think StreamYard is going to be my platform of choice, that I use to do these streams. Steve has told me things look better. Several of you guys have told me things look better. Wes has told me it looks better. Aaron has told me, so uh, I guess the proof's in the pudding. If that many people are saying that the stream looks better coming through StreamYard, then that must be so. Um, again, moving on, what we're going to talk about, in case you guys didn't catch what I was going to talk about tonight. Um, Let me see what old Curly Jaw says here. Curly Jaws, you say, I say for October, we definitely got to do a maximum overdrive watch along. Well, you got it, Curly Jaws. One of the Saturdays in October, we will do. How do you guys feel about the first Saturday of October doing a maximum overdrive watch along? How's everybody feel about that? I'm writing this down because I am always up for watching Maximum Overdrive. You don't that is not a big push for me. Somebody doesn't have to talk me into that one because I love Maximum Overdrive. And Curly Jaws, you say sweet. So um I mean, Curly Jaws, you can definitely be live on a stream with me for a watch along before then. But if you want to wait and make your debut when we do the watch along for Maximum Overdrive, then you are certainly welcome. Or you can do multiple ones. I loved the experience last night of having, I was hoping we'd have 6 people, five including and five plus me. But it was still great, fun. Uh, being as I only had two, and it was so much fun with just two plus me, I would think that if we had more than that, it would be even more great. And so, guys, I am toying with the idea of maybe going up another level. I instead of get, excuse me, instead of doing the $25 a month version, shh, don't anybody tell Steve. I might go with the 40 something dollar a month version, which allows you to have even more people on the stream. But I got to know that there's an interest and more than 6 people being on the stream. Otherwise, maybe I'll wait. But if you guys think we can get 7 more, I think it's like 8. It might be more than 8, but I was thinking that you can get 8 people on there. So that would be 7 people plus me that we could have on a stream. So you guys let me know if that would be something that you think we could get 7 people on here with me at any given time to do. And I will certainly look into that. Okay, so Curly Jaws, you say Maximum Overdrive. That's my favorite Stephen King film, and that is best. And Curly Jaws, you say wait and see how it goes. Curly Jaws, you say I'm down to be on anything before October. Okay, well if you want to do the Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker watch along and you want to be live, I'm not requiring anybody to be on camera. If you want to do audio only, that is fine. Because Texas doesn't have a camera, I think he said. And I think Darren just chose not to be on camera. I said, that's cool. So I was on camera and they were audio only. So if you're not feeling up to being on the camera on any particular night, I am not going to say that is a requirement. It is most certainly not a requirement. I spent years not wanting to be on a camera, you know, and, now I've gotten more comfortable enough that I can pretty much be on a camera on a regular basis. I don't even much pay attention to it anymore that I'm on camera. I just get on here and I blab and bullshit about whatever. Um, and so, Darren, you say I'll do some more for sure. Okay. So, Darren, would you be down for doing this watch along Saturday for Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker? Because, like I say, more the merrier. I'd be glad to have as many people as we can fit in here. Oh, Carly Jaws, you say, I got these gummies. They're 300 milligrams each. I'm ready for a stream. Okay. Well, I'm not going to say you can't have gummies on the stream. You guys can drink on the stream. You can have gummies on the stream. I don't know if I would be doing anything real illegal like snorting coke or anything, but I'm not going to say that people can't do that. But, you know, it's at your own risk, though, is all I'll say about that. But, so anyway, y'all feel free to, Darren, are you're asking, is Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker on YouTube? That is something that I haven't looked at yet, but hold on just one second here. I think at one time it was, but I think it may have been on the other, I think it might have been under the other title of Night Warning, I believe. And that's been years ago. That was before me and Steve even started dating. So, oh, it looks like, well, actually, I'm seeing it under a Night Warning. So that might be the actual, well, I want to say actual link I put. So it's Night Warning Full Horror Movie Streaming Movies. So I will take a look at that. It's supposed to be the movie in HD, and from what the clip I'm looking at looks pretty good. So that most certainly will probably be the version we use. Because of the other ones I'm looking at are either reviews or where people did podcasts. So we're going to go with that one, I'd say. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say it's on Tubi. Yeah, which you guys are perfectly, it's perfectly fine if you want to use Tubi. Now, I know that Darren is not able to use Tubi in the UK. So he's probably going to have to use that YouTube version. If you guys have a Blu-ray or a DVD or something like that you want to use, I'm sure we can get pretty much everything synced up. Oh, Curly Jaws, you want to know, can we do black tar heroin on the stream? Well, like I said, you can do anything you want to on the stream, but it's at your own risk. If if a cop near you sees this video or sees these watch alongs and they see you doing black tar heroin, I'm not responsible for what happens. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you wanting to jump on the stream now? Well, do you feel up to talking about some drive-in related movies, or do you just want to I mean, would you rather just like BS on here, or um, would you rather just hear me ramble about these movies and then wait for the watch along? Or, I mean, I don't want to discourage you from coming on here now. I um, just need to know what you want to talk about, or kind of sort of what you want to talk about, or whatever, because I kind of felt like this with Darren in Texas last night. um I almost felt like I was overtaking them sometimes, and I'd like to apologize for that. Of course, I'm sure both Darren and Texas are too much of a gentleman's to say if I was. um but Darren, you say I need to pick up the Blu-ray at some stage too. Uh, yeah, Steve got it for me not very long ago, and he was like, "Didn't I already get you the Blu-ray?" I'm like, "No, Steve, you didn't get me the Blu-ray. You got me the DVD." Um, but oh, Curly Jaws, you say we BS. um, well, um, hold on just 1 second here, oh Curly Jaws. Let me see. Darren, you say, not at all, Dana. I thought I spoke too much. LOL. Oh, no, no, no. No, you didn't. I think you spoke, you know, uh, a fair amount, but not overly. But I always feel like I'm just kind of taking over and running the show. And that's Oh, Curly Jaws may sense some hesitancy on my part of letting him on tonight. And it's not because of him, it's because I'm afraid that I'm going to get started talking about these movies and he's not going to get a word in edgewise. And I hate to do that to people. I hate to invite them on and then like just completely take over the stream. And then they don't, I see that happen a lot when there's a lot of people, especially. And I'm not saying it's purposely done. I'm just saying, I feel like sometimes some people, like, let's say you got 6 or 8 people in the stream. It seems like there's usually at least 1 or 2 people that get covered over by everybody else. And like I said, it's not intentional. And I just always worry about doing that to people. I don't want to do that. I don't want them to feel like, geez, Louise, I came on the stream and then she wouldn't let me talk about anything because she would all the time. So, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, ask me anything. All right. So, all right, I'm gonna see if I can. Oh, Curly Jaws, are you my friend on Facebook? I thought you were. Because what I was going to do was I was going to try to send you the link in Messenger because that's what I did with Darren last night. Let me see what happens here. Yeah, I believe you are. Here we go. So, oh, Curly Jaws, I just sent you the link on Facebook Messenger. Um, and I'll see if you pop up in here. I think all you got to do is click on the link and it'll take you backstage in the studio. Um, okay, so you say, yeah, we are friends. So hopefully you should be getting that link. And I'm gonna wait to see if you pop up here backstage so that I can add you. Darren, that's what y'all had to do last night, right? Was just click on that link and then I added you to the stream. And then we lost poor Darren. He had to take a break and then came back and I had to re-add him. And he was like, please re-add me. I was up here blabbing and I wasn't really like paying as much attention to the chat as I should have been, and I was like, "Oops, better add Darren back to the stream." So I'm gonna so we don't spend too much time like not talking about movies because it is almost 9 o'clock. Tomorrow's Monday. It's the start of a work week for a lot of people. Darren, you say yeah, it's easy, just click the link. And I know that that old Curly Jaws has been on some of the Dead Pit stuff, so I'm sure he's familiar with the StreamYard stuff. But because Monday is the start of a work week, and I know that traditionally, at least in IT, everything goes okay. I see old Curly Jaws. There he is.
What up?
There you are. Hey, old Curly Jaws.
Hey, what's going on?
Not a lot. We're going to talk about movies though here in just a second. I promise.
Or-
So this is my first time having old Curly Jaws on my stream. Now he's been on the Dead Pit streams several times because I know that I've watched some of their streams and he's been on there with the rest of the crew talking
Oh
about
yeah,
different things.
I'm
Uh,
sure. I'm sure at this time, CK and Uncle Bill are probably ready to rip what's left of their hair at this point.
so let me ask you, old Curly Jaws, is your hair green tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is that a Dead Pit thing? Are you going green for Dead Pit?
I just decided to go with green. I was like,
I don't.
I'm gonna do like this side red and this side purple or something.
Okay, well I want to see that. You either gotta like come on live on a stream with me after you do that, or you gotta take a picture and put it on Facebook.
Oh, oh, definitely.
So what we're gonna talk about tonight, in case anybody did not see my little promotion for this, is I had the idea to talk about drive-in movies, and I don't know, oh Curly Jaws, how many drive-ins you've been to?
Well,
Uh,
the only one we have is in Georgetown,
okay,
the Georgetown drive-in.
in
That's
Georgetown,
yeah,
Indiana.
yeah.
I gotcha. That's the one me and Steve go to traditionally.
Mm.
We haven't been for golly.
You
When
sh-
was the
They're
last time we went?
they're playing some of the originals. They're playing like Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Blob, the original Blob.
Wow. See, I'm gonna have to tell Steve because he loves that stuff. That's like
Yeah,
right up his alley.
they're playing a lot of the oldies this time around. I haven't been up there in years.
Well, we used to go quite regularly, and he
Mm.
may be waiting for something big to maybe come up in October. Have you
Yeah.
heard whether they're going to do anything big in October or?
I have no idea. We need to get talk to CK. Maybe we could all go up there or something. That'd be fun.
That would be cool. Yeah, because like the first Fright Night I went to, but way back in '09, where I met uh CK and Uncle Bill for the first time and like met Steve and met all the other Dead Pit faithful people at that time. And we made a pilgrimage, and it was indeed a pilgrimage to the Georgetown Drive-In that year to see Madman because CK had a 35 millimeter copy of Madman, and he was just very eager
Of course
to
he would.
right. So, I remember I came up to Louisville with Kim Malay, not Kim Malicious, but Kim Malay. Kim Kim Malay was she was one of the first, like, I guess I would consider her in that first group of Dead Pit fans. Kim Malicious, of course, came later, and I don't even know what happened to Kim Malicious. She just kind of disappeared. Guys got too friendly with her, I think, and she just kind of disappeared off the internet. So, anyways, but I came up to Louisville, first Fright Night convention I ever went to, first time meeting the guys. And I just had a blast. I mean, I hadn't had much, I guess, experience with conventions of any kind at that point. I think I had went to one convention before I met all the crowd that I hang out with now.
And at this first convention, that's when you fell in love with Steve.
Well, I don't say
Like,
I
oh,
don't talk I don't talk about this a lot because this was the it got kinda tense there for a little bit. I don't want anybody to think I'm a stalker or anything, but I think Darren knows about this and probably some other people that were in the original Dead Pit fans group know about this, but originally I had a crush on Uncle Bill. That's who I had a crush on, and I had a major crush on Uncle Bill. And now we're just buddies, but I actually, I like Steve as a friend. I thought he was a nice guy and everything. But when you have your eyes on somebody else, it's kind of
right.
hard to see that. Um, but the love for Steve came just a little bit later. And that happened and Steve would probably kill me for bringing this up. But Steve got a little happy and a little intoxicated a New Year's Eve. Like, was it maybe it was the end of 2009? I don't know. It's everything's a blur now, but he kept trying to call me, and my cell phone service was for shit then. And he kept trying to call me, and he was like, "Pick up your phone, Dana, pick up your phone." And he was like sending me chat messages saying, "Kiss, kiss, pick up your phone." It's like, what? And he probably don't even remember this stuff now, but that was how our relationship started. And then we just moved on from there. He actually invited me to his house before we were dating, and absolutely nothing happened. Now, CK and Uncle Bill will tease me about that. Ah, yeah, yeah, we know what happened, but no, nothing happened that time. We just went to, I think, Scarefest as friends. I did stay overnight at his house, but the serious dating did not start till a little bit later when Steve said, one February after that New Year's, it was the February after that New Year's Eve, that he said, "Would you want to come to my house and like just hang out and watch movies?" And I'm like, something's changed here. The dynamics changed here a little bit because when I got there, I found out he had set up, like, got reservations at this nice hibachi restaurant. And, I knew something had changed there. Guys don't just make reservations,
Exactly.
go to these nice restaurants. And yeah. So that's a little bit about me and Steve, probably more than you wanted to know about us. But yeah, we just kind of moved on from there. And Steve wasn't really interested in getting married early on. And I thought we would never, I thought we'll just date forever, I guess. But then he started talking about marriage at some point. And yeah, and here we are 9 years later.
Oh,
And we ain't killed each other yet, so that's a good thing. Let's see what Darren says here. Darren says they were some good times in the early Dead Pit days. Oh, Curly Jaws is the new breed.
the
It's
the
cool.
new breed has been unleashed.
It's
ECW, the new
yeah,
brood.
exactly. That Pit's getting some, younger fans too. Yeah, and
I remember I remember the first convention I went to. I remember seeing Steve first. The guys wasn't there yet. I think I scared you because I was like, "Holy shit, Steve!" and all of them. And you're like, "Oh, here, just like this motherfucker's crazy."
no, I just thought, hey, I was like, he seems like he's a little nervous, and I remember telling Steve this later, and I said, and he he seemed like he was meeting the biggest superstars in the world, when he met all you guys.
I
I was like,
swear,
I thought it was kind of cute, actually, how the way you went up to him, and it was like, and I think,
because for me it was like meeting my heroes. It's like meeting like Hulk Hogan or like somebody like you girl. Like I don't know, just that's what it felt like. I'm like something like I'm never gonna meet these guys ever. I never thought I would ever meet them. And I'm like, holy shit, I told my dad, I'm like, we gotta go. We gotta go meet these guys. I got to.
I mean, what did your dad think of that atmosphere? Did it freak him out, or
No, no, he was like cool to go to convention. Like he told Wes and Aaron, he was like he came all the way to meet you guys, and they were just like they couldn't believe that.
right? Out of
They're
all the
like,
people that you could come to see, you came to
yeah, and Doug Bradley was there. Like there was a lot of big names there, I believe, and there's like fuck all this.
I was like that too the first time I met him. It wasn't that I hadn't chatted with them prior to me coming to that Fright Night in '09, but I was a little, and they would probably laugh their asses off now if they were listening to this. But
Oh yeah.
I was a little starstruck because at first I didn't even realize until I listened to their show more that they were even from my state of Kentucky. I was like, damn, these guys are from my state. They're Kentucky boys. Uh,
I'm like, I think that's why I like them so much. Is like they're just across the river, like they're one of us.
Yeah. And the first time I called into their show, I remember Uncle Bill saying, "You sound just like us." And he was telling CK, "She sounds just like us." You know. So uh Darren saying here, he says, I wanted to ring the show in the early days, but was too nervous. Oh, my heart was beating like a jackrabbit. What the night that I called or the evening that I called. Um, and I didn't think that I would get through because at that point in time, they had so many people that called in to the show at different points in time.
Mhm.
Uh, and when CK picked up, I was like, holy crap. I was like, they actually picked up on my call. So, uh,
I remember calling them when I used to have a flip phone. That's how
yeah.
yeah, I remember calling in on my flip phone or whatever. And I'm like, first time I called, I was like, hey.
Yeah. I didn't know. I'm glad that they were kind of prepared with like what
Yeah.
it's almost like they know what to talk about to get people to loosen up a little bit and
Mhm.
start talking back with them about things
Yeah.
because all it took was to start talking about Friday the 13th
You,
movies and
you know what's crazy? When I first met you all, I believe I was only 18 or 19 years old. I'm 27 now.
yeah, you were young. You were young. I
Yeah.
do remember that. Um, so, like I said, I always say, you guys continue to chat about whatever the heck you want. You don't have to stick to any of these movies I'm going to talk about. You can throw whatever out. I always glance back and forth at the chat as I'm talking. Oh, Curly Jaws, you feel free to jump in there at any point in time. Just tell me to shut up and let you talk because I do just like that all the time, and I don't mean to. I really
Yeah,
don't. So, as I said, I wanted to talk about drive-in movies, but I wanted to kind of talk about movies that I think are best seen at a drive-in. I mean, I'm not saying you can't enjoy them at home, but
Right.
these are, in my opinion, prime movies for that drive-in screen and that drive-in environment with your crackly speaker or, nowadays it can come through the radio station, but you still get that feel. I got one quick story to tell about the drive-in before I get the movies, because I always think of my mom and dad when I think about drive-ins, because in the time period that my mom and dad grew up in and early in their marriage, drive-ins were big. They were huge at that point in time, and I was even taken to several drive-in movies that I remembered bits and pieces of the movies, even though I was quite young. But I remember being in the back seat of the car, and seeing things like Prom Night, Death Ship, some vampire movie that I can't remember what the name of it was, but I do remember it was a old gothic vampire movie. Um, but I'm actually gonna talk about both Prom Night and Death Ship tonight because those are 2 movies in particular that I do remember from those drive-in days with my parents. But I remember my dad talking about, like, the first time him and mom went to the drive-in, and they had removed the speakers. And dad did not know that you were supposed to listen through the radio station. So he spent a good 10, 20 minutes driving around the lot trying to find a speaker. And he asked my mom, he's like, I don't know where the speakers are. Where are the speakers? And finally, I think he pulled up beside one of the other cars, rolled down his window, and he said, where are the speakers? And they was like, oh, they've replaced that. Now you got to tune to this radio station to hear the audio for the movie. And he was like, oh, okay. So from then on out, he knew, but he said, I felt kind of dumb because, you know, uh, it had, the last time he had went to the drive-in, of course, they still had the speakers. Now they were all gone. But I know Georgetown Drive-In still has the speakers, or
Yeah,
they
they
did
do.
last time I went. But you
Yeah.
can also listen from the radio station as well.
I'm
So
I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised the Georgetown Drive-In's even still around.
yeah, sometimes I think, are they gonna, go under? Are they gonna go the way of a lot of these other drive-ins? But maybe it's because they still have the ability to show digital. Um, And that's probably what's keeping them afloat because I'm sure if they couldn't play digital movies,
Hmm.
they probably would have went under a long time ago.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but they have the most unique snack area, or I think
Um,
it's unique.
their food's delicious. Like you can get a chicken sandwich and like the whole meal there.
Yeah, and when Steve and I had went, like the few Octobers we went, they usually have that older couple that's there, fixing the ribeye steak sandwiches and the chili. And I always have to get that chili because that chili is the best. And then Steve will get a ribeye steak sandwich. And then I got to have popcorn. I cannot go to the movies. I can't go to the drive
Same.
in. I can't go to the movie theater and not get popcorn. It's just not right if you don't get popcorn at the movies.
It's
Um,
sacrilege. Like you gotta have popcorn.
Somebody needs to tell Steve it's sacrilege because he went for years going to both the drive-in and the movie theater and never getting popcorn, never getting a soft drink. Like
Oh,
he
you gotta have
going there and
some kind
watch
of
the movie.
snack. What the hell's wrong with you? Like you gotta have popcorn at least, and a
Right.
drink, and of course the candy. Like
Yeah, well, with me being diabetic, I kinda have to minimize on the candy, but I'm not gonna say I don't ever get it. But, I might get a candy bar or might get, some hot tamales. I love those gummy hot tamales from the makers of the Mike and Ike's and,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
that business, so, um and Darren's saying, I think he's talking about Dead Pit here. He says, yes, their interview technique was as good as anyone at that time. Yeah, I think they could, if they could put me at ease, I'm the most nervous person and anxiety ridden person you would ever meet, and they could put me at ease. So if they can put me at ease, they can put anybody at ease. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So I said we were going to talk about drive-in movies or what I believe to be drive-in movies, and so we're just going to start with the first one in my stack. I've got 12 here. I'm going to try to go through these without being on here for 5 or 6 hours. Um, but the first one is Willard, the original, or what I would call the original killer rat movie. And if you don't know who that guy is there, that is a very young Bruce Davison. And I did not know that Bruce Davison he was nominated for an Oscar for the role of Willard in this movie. And I did not know that. When I was trying to come up with movies for the stream tonight, I came across that little bit of information. I was like, wow, I know Bruce Davidson is an awesome actor. I've liked him in just about everything he's been in. Um, but I had no idea that he had been nominated. Now, it didn't say he won, but it did say he was nominated. Um, but Curly Jaws, are you familiar with Willard at all?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, wow. What about Ben? Have you watched Ben? Ben is the sequel to this one. Oh,
Nope, I've never
wow.
heard of it.
Okay. So, like I said, Willard for me is the original killer rat movie. I mean, there've been, some to come after, including Deadly Eyes with the little weenie dogs dressed up like rats. Have you seen that one, Oh Curly Jaws? Deadly
No, but
Eyes?
I have not seen it, but I got to see it now that has wiener dogs in it.
It
I
it
had a
does.
dachshund, so
I've had several dachshunds over the years. Steve and I actually had a dachshund, Linnea, who passed away last year. We lost her last year, which was, you know, how it is when we lose our babies. It's devastating. So, I won't go into that too much because then I'll start crying and we'll have people crying on here. But I do love the dachshunds. I love the weenie dogs. My mom, when growing up, my mom had weenie dogs, and one of her first ones was one that my dad only paid $25 for. It's like, wow, that's astronomical compared to what they are now, what you have to pay for a
yeah. I
purebred
mean, we
dachshund.
got ours off the street. Somebody just left it somewhere out in the nowhere. They
Oh.
picked it up.
Now,
It's like, yeah,
Linnea I adopted, so she wasn't one that you bought from a breeder or something like that. And I'm a big uh, believer in adoption for animals. I say if you can find, I mean, there is no reason why somebody needs to always buy from a breeder. And I might make some people pissed off by saying this, but there are always very good dogs in the shelters that need homes. All of my dogs that I currently have are rescues. So I just say go to the shelters, take a look at the dogs. I can almost guarantee you're gonna find a pet to love that way. And that's my
now,
public service message for adoption.
now, do you have any cats?
I do not have any cats. I used to have cats when I lived with my parents. But I'm not going to say that Steve hates cats. But he's more of a dog person than a cat person.
You get him a flat face cat, he'll change his mind.
Flat-faced cat.
Those are adorable. I love them cats.
They are, yeah. But the other reason why I think we haven't tried the cat thing is because a couple of our dogs that we have now, I'm almost afraid they would kill a cat. Um, Reggie, our boxer pit bull mix, he has a very strong prey drive. And I'm afraid that if we brought a cat into this house, he would just think it was some kind of squirrel or some other kind of wild animal, and he would tear it to pieces. And I would be horrified if something like that happened. And
Yeah.
Reggie's a good boy. He's a good dog, but you got to watch those dogs that have a strong prey drive. Um,
We have
Unfortunately.
I have a German Shepherd, and he does pretty good with the cats.
Hmm. I think sometimes if they grow up with them, it works a little bit better because they're used to them. But we got Reggie when he was 9 months old. We adopted him at 9 months, and I don't know that he'd seen very many cats, or any cats at all. Um, and he gets after squirrels, and he hates weed eaters. Like if somebody is using a weed eater on the other side of our fence, like in their yard, and they bump that weed eater up against the fence, he goes ape shit. Tries to tear the fence down. I don't know what he thinks it is. Evidently, he must think it's something trying to get him. Um, so I don't know, and he just wants to attack it. But so yeah, you definitely need to see Deadly Eyes, and I would encourage you, old curly jaws, to watch both Willard and Ben. Because I think you would enjoy them. But you can definitely, if you watch Deadly Eyes, you can definitely see those little weenie dogs in the in the rat suits. There are some scenes where you can clearly tell it's a weenie dog, and you can even see their tails wagging in some scenes. These dachshunds are having a ball running around in these damn rat suits. And they're supposed to be frightening. People are supposed to be
Oh
scared,
God,
but these
I
are giant
gotta check this movie out. I gotta check this movie. It sounds amazing.
yeah. Now, Screen Factory or Scheme Factory, as Dead Pit calls them, put it out a few years back, and now, unless you want to pay an ungodly amount for it, you can't even get that sucker on Blu-ray. And Steve's got a copy of it on Blu-ray, but he bought it when it came out. Um,
Mm.
but
I'm like, I just want to see. I just like, can I get a DVD? I just want to see it for the weenie dogs. That's all I want.
right. And you may be able to possibly find a copy on YouTube, maybe Tubi. Tubi's got a lot of stuff out there now.
Tubi is amazing. I love Tubi. Like I cannot recommend Tubi enough.
Yeah, and I highly recommend if you can get the modded version of Tubi without the commercials in it, that makes it even better because you can if you got to go to the bathroom or something, you can just pause it. You don't have to, wait for those commercials to come up. And Darren's saying, let me put his message up here. Darren says, closest I got to a drive-in was watching the original Blair Witch Project in the middle of the
Ooh.
woods a few years back on Halloween. But that sounds really cool, though.
It
Um,
does, but that just sounds terrifying. That sounds just awful.
well, I remember one year around Halloween, me and Steve um, went to Georgetown Drive-In, and I don't know if maybe we watched Halloween on, the original. I know old Curly Jaw says 1978 Halloween's overrated, but that might have been the year that we we saw that, and I was super, super excited. And that might have been the year that we got on the Freddy bus. And they took us on the Freddy bus, and Freddy Krueger was driving, not the real Freddy Krueger, of course, but somebody dressed like Freddy Krueger, drove us out in the freaking woods and let us out. And we walked through the woods, and they had kind of like a haunted trail type of
Mm.
deal. And I think that scared the shit out of some people. You know, riding out there in that old dilapidated school bus with some
I,
guy dressed like Freddy.
I, I, I didn't have that. Like that would probably traumatize me if I had that happen to me as a kid or whatever. Anyway, um,
Right.
there is this time I went. It was like a haunted. It was like a haunted bride or something. Anyway, I had to get in this casket. And this
Oh.
lady, she's like, "How long can you hold your breath?" I'm like, "I, I don't know." She's like, "Well, you're about to find out." And she slams the lid.
Oh, shit,
And,
I would have lost my mind because I'm claustrophobic. If somebody did that to me, I would lose it completely.
and then the casket goes like a roller coaster. It starts going, and then it automatically opens up. And I said, you automatically have a reflex of sitting up automatically. And this guy is like screaming in my face.
This wasn't one of those, like, hardcore type of things. You seen those things like, what is it, McCamey Manor and stuff like that, where they basically torture you? You pay them to torture you. They, like, kidnap you and take you to places and, like, have you seen this stuff? They got all kinds of
No,
YouTube.
no, I haven't. No, this was not
Oh,
that, but that sounds like fun.
I would never do that. I'm not gonna go that far with it. I'll go to
I'm like,
haunted houses.
how far did they go? That's what I'm like. Are they gonna like
Well
try to cut me or what?
well, actually, what I've seen them do is first they make you they do an extensive interview with you just to
Mm,
make sure you're not full of shit, that you can take this stuff, or at least they think you can handle what they're gonna throw at you. And then you have to sign a waiver saying you do not hold these people responsible for anything, any harm that may come to you when you're doing it. So this stuff is hardcore. This ain't little piddly going to haunted house and having people jump out at you kind of stuff. No, it's not that. So I watched one of these videos, and they kidnapped the people, put them in bags, like, like just a big drawstring bag almost, and they were literally encased in these bags. They took them somewhere. They didn't know where these people were taking them. They could have took them somewhere and killed them for all they knew. I mean, for real. So they also ask you what kind of things you're scared of. Like, are you scared of snakes? Are you scared of spiders? Are you scared of roaches? You know, and they literally, there were some people like that were scared of snakes, for instance, and they would put a metal cage on their head that they could not get off. And then they would put snakes on top of that, where snakes were crawling all over them. And you would see these people start crying, and they'd say, "Are you done? Are you done? Do you want this to end, or do you want it to continue?" So they did have like safe words
yeah,
and things like that that you could do, but I was like, there is no
I
way.
I would have fucked with them. Been like, you can't do better than that, pussy.
There were some people that started out doing that and
Yeah.
then were bawling. 20 minutes later, they were bawling. They were tough guys when they went in there. I'm talking about big, burly, muscular guys.
Mm.
Um, and they were crying like little babies about 20 minutes later. So you could try it on curly jaws, but you ain't gonna catch my ass doing that stuff. That's too hardcore for me.
It, that would, I'd be intrigued just to see how that would go. Like I'm like, this is the closest you're gonna feel to being like in a horror movie. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, but to me, that's too close for comfort, but I encourage you to get on YouTube and um, I think it's called McCamey Manor is one of the really, really hardcore ones. It sometimes takes years to be able to even get an appointment with these people because there's so many people that really want to do that,
Mhm.
want to have this experience. And I don't know how it is legal. I guess if you sign a waiver saying you don't hold anybody responsible if you have a heart attack or stroke or lose your freaking mind when nothing.
I'm just like, what are the rules? Like, can I smoke before I do this? Like, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, I'm sure they have, certain like rules and that they go over with you in the process because that's exactly what it is. It's a process, the interview, um, and they have like an online interview with people, and then they have an in person interview. It's kind
I'm
of like
like,
you're getting a job or something.
I'm
Um,
assuming like if say they want you to tell you their fears, so I'm like, okay, I want my like I'm not just gonna fuck with them. Like I want like scary midgets to attack me or something. Like
they would
you know,
probably do it. If
dude,
you put that down.
I don't know. There's so many people that are scared of little people. It's hilarious.
I've never been scared of little people. Now, if it was something like, and I think I've said this before, like Pet Cemetery, when they show freaking Zelda, I'm talking about the original Pet Cemetery from like 89.
Yeah,
When they show those scenes with Zelda, to me, that's more terrifying than the dead people coming back to life. I mean, that didn't bother me, but you show freaking Zelda on there, and
Zelda, the really like skinny woman or
yeah,
whatever. That's all. Oh God, I
yeah,
can't
that
even.
gets everybody. And
I literally cannot look. That scene's just it gives me chills
mhm.
every time. Like I don't know why. Just something about the
And it seems to affect most everybody the same way. Um, I've even heard Sean Clark talk about that. If you watch that Unearthed and Untold, The Path to Pet Cemetery, I believe Sean Clark is on there talking about how the Zelda scene freaked him out. And there's several people talking about the Zelda scene. Um,
now. Did you like Pet Cemetery too?
I liked it for the I guess the humorous, wacky, over the top stuff like when Gus comes back from the dead and he's like he loved his rabbits before he came back from the dead and then he's like, I don't advocate skinning rabbits and stuff like he was in that scene, but he's just like literally ripping those poor rabbits apart and then he wants them cooked. And like when Edward Furlong and his buddy are sitting there and Gus is all of a sudden, just starts laughing and they all start laughing with him. And then all of a sudden he just goes and he looks at them like, okay, what are you guys going to do now? And everybody just kind of looks at him. But that movie was a whole different animal to me than the original Pet Cemetery. You could have almost called that movie anything other than Pet Cemetery, too. And it probably would have still worked. Um, but I can't think of it in terms as like a direct sequel to Pet Cemetery. No matter how much people probably the people that made it want you to. I just
Yeah,
can't. They almost seem like two separate entities to me.
yeah,
But
yeah. I enjoy it for what it is, but it's like when I think of Pet Cemetery, I always think of the original one. Oddly enough,
mhm. That's and I didn't like the remake. I actually sat through the remake and watched it. Um,
I never even watched the remake. I looked at the trailer for the remake, and I'm like, this doesn't even look like it'd be anything worth a damn. So I didn't
nah,
want.
you weren't missing anything. You were
Yeah,
not missing anything.
it had what like wasn't it like little people in masks, druids, and there was wearing like masks and They're
There
out.
was all kinds of I don't remember. See, this is how unmemorable it was for me that I can't remember a lot about it. But it seems like they took everything that worked from the original Pet Cemetery and left it out and just put all this shit in here that did not work.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt numb at the end of it. I was like, I definitely don't like it, but I can't say I hate it because I'm too numb at the end of it. It just, I guess it had no feeling in it, really. And I felt like the original Pet Cemetery, it had Stephen King's stamp on it, obviously. I think Mary Lambert, the director, knew what she was doing with it. She knew how to take Stephen King's material and make something out of it, make a proper movie. Because there had been several people that had been previously attached to that property, including George Romero, who did not, he was busy doing something else and didn't get to work on it. Um, but I thought Mary Lambert was awesome as the director for that. I think, and I'm not saying that just because she's a woman. I think she was the perfect director for that particular film. But oh, Texas is in here.
Oh shit.
He says, "Sorry, I'm late." That's okay. We just been kind of like we haven't even got off the first movie because we've been going back and forth on a bunch of other stuff, which is fine. I try to do this stuff free form, so um, I don't want anybody to feel restricted in any way. But again, oh Curly Jaws or anybody else that has not seen Willard and or Ben, I highly recommend them. Watch Deadly Eyes first if you can get a hold of that one. Oh, Curly Jaws. But I would definitely watch Willard and Ben at some point because actually I didn't even know about Willard when I saw Ben for the first time. Ben was the one that everybody told me about. Like my family, at least on my mom's side, is full of horror fans. My mom's a big horror fan. She used to be a big slasher movie fan, the Friday the 13th and all that. And now she's more of like a ghost story type person. But then my aunt, Sandy, my mom's sister, was always really into this stuff. And I used to go to her house nearly every weekend when I was a kid. And we would go and we would rent movies. We'd rent a stack of movies and sit there and watch them. And she would let me cook things in her kitchen with her. We'd make a big pot of chili. We would make cookies. This was pre diabetic days for me. So I was pretty much getting to eat whatever I wanted. But I remember watching things like Evil Dead 2 with her. Um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first time I watched it with her. Um, I don't think she was a big fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre though, like I was. I think she thought it was a little weird. Oh, Curly Jaws, you're not a big fan of that
Well,
original one.
well, the first one, the original one, it's okay. Like I don't, I feel like people overhype it. Um, but like like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I thought was great. The third one I thought was really good. I love the fourth one. The remake was amazing. The prequel was god awful. I can't. That prequel is the worst. I, I think nothing can beat that. Was probably the worst one. And the Leatherface one I didn't like. Another prequel,
Mhm.
and
So
then Texas Chainsaw.
I'm with you on the prequel and the Leatherface. I don't even think I watched the Leatherface one. I
That,
think I was so turned off by some of that other stuff that came right before it that I was like, "Pfft, I'm not
well,
even."
like Texas Chainsaw 3D was great, but
I enjoyed
after
that
that,
one. I did enjoy
yeah,
that.
I wish they would have made a sequel to that one, like the Get 'em Cuz. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Um, so, um, so I heard about Ben before I did Willard. The same thing happened to me with Sleepaway Camp and the sequels. Because I ended up watching Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 with Pamela Springsteen in them before I was ever able to watch the Felissa Rose, Sleepaway Camp. So I watched Ben, and then when I heard there was Willard, it's like before Ben, there was Willard, I was like, "Man, I gotta watch Willard." And I tell you, I don't know why my dog's messing the rug up over here, but Reggie's messing the rug up. But anyways, Bruce Davison, for as young, and I don't know how old he was when he made this, but this was back in 71. So he was pretty young. And he just knocks it out of the park with this. You would think that, I guess he was thinking, okay, I'm gonna do my best. I don't care if this is a low budget horror movie about rats. I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna do my best. And he does. He really pulls off that henpecked, and I mean he's not henpecked by a wife, he's henpecked by his mother, because he's not married. He lives in this big old dilapidated house with his mother who makes him do everything. And she's always like, Willard, if you don't do this, we're going to go under. And if you don't do this, we're going to go under. You've got to have this job. And then when he comes home from his job, he's one of these people that's constantly put upon at his job. His boss treats him like shit, and makes him do the worst jobs, the things that nobody else wants to do. He gives those jobs to Willard. So after a hard day at work, he has to come home and hear his mom screeching at him to, "You're lazy, Willard. You don't clean the pool outside. You don't do this. You don't do that. And I'm a sick old woman. I can't do anything." And so he just hears this stuff day in and day out. And so one day his mother tells him to, um, I'm not sure if Go Curly Jaws is frozen. Are you still there, oh curly jaws? Okay,
Yeah,
he's
I'm
moved
still
now.
here.
I wanted to make sure I didn't lose you. Um, so one day his mother notices rats around the house or outside the house, and she tells him that he needs to kill the rats. And so, he doesn't think anything about it. He thinks I think he tries to drown the rats at first. And then he notices there's one rat that seems to kind of want to be friendly with him. This turns out to be Ben. And Ben becomes Willard's only friend. Willard doesn't have any other friends. So he ends up bringing Ben and some of the other rats in the house. And I guess hiding them from his mother, because if his mother found out that he's got all these rats, she'd have a fit. Um, and then at some point in the movie, Ben introduces a white rat, because most of the rats look like your regular garden variety, black or grayish colored rats. So Ben brings a white rat to Willard, like, here's you another friend. And he ends up naming the white rat Socrates. And this is this scene where, I don't think this is giving anything away. This is kind of a warning. If you are an animal person, and I've had pet rats, so this part in the film really affected me. So Willard ends up kind of like hiding Socrates in his pocket and taking him to the office with him. And then he thinks that Socrates will be okay if he puts him in the supply closet at work. Well, somebody ends up going into the supply closet, and little Socrates kind of peeks out. scares the hell out of this woman, and they end up killing Socrates. They beat Socrates to death. And that is a scene that always bothers me. It's the one scene in this movie that really bothers me because you I hope they didn't really kill a rat in this, but that poor rat looked dead. And there was blood everywhere and everything. So Willard's heartbroken. He has to go back home without one of his friends. So at that point in time, Ben starts acting sort of cold towards Willard because it's like, I brought you a new friend and you took him to the office and then you allowed him to get killed. So you see these shots, and I'm sure the rat wasn't that smart. I mean, they're smart, but they're only so smart. But I think it was the way they filmed it that it makes Ben look like he's accusing Willard. You did this, Willard. You caused Socrates to get killed. You should have never took him and put him in the supply closet. That was not the place to put him. So they keep showing these close-up shots of Ben's face. And he just seems to be just, looking at him like that. So things go from bad to worse. At first, Ben seems to be helping Willard. Uh, he's able to command Ben to bring the other rats, and they crawl all over his boss and end up killing his boss. Um, and so any enemies he has, he says, Ben, take care of them. And then Ben brings all his buddies. It's like this mass army of rats just converges on these people. So this goes on for quite a while, and then things sour between Willard and Ben. And Willard thinks it's time that gets rid of Ben. So he's going to poison Ben and the other rats. He's got his rat poison and all of that. And basically Ben knows what he's up to. And Ben and the other rats basically take out Willard. So
Beat the shit out of him.
pretty much, yeah. This
I
army
haven't
of
seen the
rats.
movie, and I already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about Ben tonight, but Ben pretty much picks up where Willard left off. You even have a few like recaps of what happened at the end of Willard at the beginning of Ben. And Ben finds a new friend in the sequel, and there is a Michael Jackson song in Ben, not in Willard, but in Ben, that is called Ben. So if you're if you're interested in hearing the child Michael Jackson from the Jackson Five sing a song about being the rat, then definitely watch Ben so you can hear that. I think they even put out a record with that. I could be wrong, but I think
Probably did.
so. I don't know how many people have seen Willard. I'm not seeing anybody really put anything in the chat. I know old Curly Jaws has not seen it.
I'm definitely gonna check it out now, just because it sounds like an interesting piece of art.
Yeah, yeah, that's one way to look at it.
I mean,
Um,
and also the sequel with Wiener Dogs. That I got to check that out too.
yeah, definitely try to find Deadly Eyes. And in my opinion, Willard, Ben, and Deadly Eyes are probably my top three killer rat movies. There have been other killer rat movies along the way, but I think these are the three top ones, or the three best ones. So, moving right along, I hope old Curly Jaws has seen some of these because he's going to think, well, she's talking about these movies. I ain't seen none of them. The next one I wanted to talk about is It's Alive. And this has the most, like, actually, it has two great taglines that I like. The first one is, "There's only one thing wrong with the Davis baby. It's alive." And the second tagline is, "The one film you should not see alone." Now, I agree with the first tagline. The second one, I don't know. There are some parts of this movie, even though I love it, that are a little hokey. I don't think it's going to terrify anybody so much that they can't watch it alone, to be honest. But to me, this was probably one of the first killer baby movies or killer kid type of movies. And let me just show you that little creature there. That is the baby. That's the It's Alive baby. And believe it or not, and I still have one of these. Way back when, long before I met Steve or anything, I purchased a puppet uh, of a baby that it's not called the It's Alive baby. They were advertised way back when in both Fangoria magazine and Gorzo magazine. And I could never afford them prior to me getting a job. When you're a kid, you don't have much money, and I could never afford these elaborate things that they would show in Fangoria and Gorzo, but I always mooned over them, because it was something I always wanted. So years later, when I had a job, I discovered these baby puppets again, these mutated looking baby puppets. I was like, damn, I got to get one because that looks like the freaking It's Alive baby. There's no doubt about it. And so I ended up getting one, and I still have it. It is back in the very back room of our house, um, posed with a lot of my other stuff that Steve says it's too tacky to put anywhere else other than a back room or something area. Um, I guess Darren's gonna have to head out. Uh, Let me put his thing up here. He says, "Dang, it's been fun. I will watch the rest of the stream tomorrow. Have a good one, guys. You have a good one too, Darren. I know I've
See,
said this before. I'll say it again. I always forget about the time differential between the states and the UK. So it's probably maybe 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that over
yeah.
in the UK, and it's
Well,
only
I'm
almost.
pretty like, well, I'm pretty well right now. Everything in the UK is probably shut down because of the Queen.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that too. Yeah. So, and like I said, I know that it's Sunday evening, Sunday night, and a lot of people got early Monday morning start to their week. I'm sure in the IT world that I'm in, it's going to be wild because everything goes crazy over the weekend and carries over into Monday. People have a myriad of problems, but I'm going to go ahead and continue with the It's Alive talk now. Oh, Curly Jaws, is It's Alive one that you've seen? Never seen it.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm seeing it.
Maybe I'm going to introduce you to a whole bunch of movies so that you can, watch. And then he'll say, Dana's full of shit. These movies ain't any good. That's what he's going to
Well, I
say.
mean, none of them can be as bad as Madman.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Madman is pretty fucking awful. CK hyped that movie. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't. The movie's fucking dog shit.
Well, CK and I have had this conversation back and forth about which movie's better, The Burning or Madman. I always
Burning.
say The Burning blows Madman out of the water. I'm not saying I don't enjoy Madman, but if I had to pick my favorite of the two, it's always The Burning. And CK's like, "You're crazy, Madman's got it beat." Um, but
Listen. The Burning, the character looks badass. The soundtrack's great. The music's good. The acting's good. The kills are better. Madman is just an overrated. Like the Madman looks just the character looks awful. Like it just looks like dog shit.
I think the acting is a lot better in The Burning because, like, you have to know this, old curly jaws, because you've seen both. Do they not act freaking ridiculous in Madman? It's like scene after
Yeah,
scene of ridiculous conversations, ridiculous acting.
like it's just the when I'll put it this way, Madman is almost unwatchable. It's pretty bad. It's almost as bad as the Child's Play remake.
Okay.
I hate the
And
Child's
that
Play.
and what the heck? I mean, I know everybody laughs about the hot tub scene in Mad Men, but that is the most cringe-inducing scene I believe I've ever seen on film. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I do not wanna watch Galen Ross and, what was that guy's name? Tony Fish, I think,
Tony
um,
Mama Luke or something.
moving around to that song that I guess is supposed to be sexy. Them moving around in a circle in the hot tub, it's like, I want that scene to be over. It's like, ugh, it's not good.
It's just fucking. I like everybody shits on Hatchet, but if you're gonna try to sit there and tell me Madman's better than Hatchet, you get the hell out of here.
So, anyway, a little bit about It's Alive. I mean, it's a killer baby movie, obviously. But at the time that this came out in 1974, just a couple of years before I was born, um, I guess at this point in time, a lot of women were taking certain pills to enhance the uh, predictability, I guess, that they would get pregnant. So what this movie is essentially about, what Larry Cohen, I guess, was trying to say about that time period.
Wait, is It's Alive? Doesn't it go by another name? Is like Brain Dead or something?
I don't think so. I mean, there might be another movie called It's Alive. I mean, that's certainly possible.
Probably there has to be. There's like
uh, but Larry Cohen directed this one, and Larry Cohen, he did this one. He did
I'm
You
thinking
the
of
Winged Serpent and stuff like that.
I'm
So,
thinking of a different movie. I'm thinking of the I'm thinking of James Cameron's movie.
oh, I gotcha. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm like,
Um, so another thing that you guys might find interesting about this, especially you Psycho fans, you original Psycho fans, is the composer for It's Alive was Bernard Herrmann. And Rick Baker, I know everybody's got to know Rick Baker, special makeup effects guy. He did effects work for this film as well. Um, so like I said, I think what Larry Cohen was, maybe he wasn't trying to say anything, but I think he was trying to say something about that time period, about the dangers of taking fertility drugs, pretty much. And I think there were some real dangers, not killer babies, but there were some real health dangers, I think, associated with those early fertility drugs that women took. So although you weren't going to have a mutant baby that was going to go around killing people, you might have, suffered some kind of other issues, organ issues, blood issues,
I mean,
whatever.
what would you rather have the organ issues or the mutant baby? Like, I'm like, I
I
think I'd
would,
rather have the mutant baby.
yeah, probably. Unfortunately, with with this baby, it can I don't recall the mother, the main mother, Miss Davis, in this. I don't recall her getting killed when she gives birth, but basically everybody else in that room gets killed. All these doctors and stuff, because when that baby comes out of her, it's not like some normal baby you slap on the bottom and you make it cry. It's coming out of there with these long nails and sharp teeth, and it freaking like rips everybody apart in that room. So there's blood on the walls, there's blood on her, these doctors and nurses and stuff ripped to pieces all around her. And then of course the baby escapes. And they spend the rest of the movie basically trying to get their baby back. And there are some scenes that, even though this is a monster mutant baby that's going to kill people, this is still a baby, and there are some scenes where it just wants to get back to its parents. It wants to be loved like any other baby. And when it comes down to it, they pretty much force Mr. Davis to kill his own child. I mean, they've got one older child, a normal child, but
Normal.
the yeah, but this other baby, they're gonna make him kill it. They're like, "You have to take this monster out."
If I'm
Um,
that baby, I'd be like, I'm gonna fight back. Fuck you.
and the baby pretty much does. I mean,
Shit.
it's not gonna play around. And it sort of reminds me a little bit of The Omen, which I'm gonna talk about here next. Um, in that,
I know.
there's a scene in The Omen where he knows he needs to kill his child who's the Antichrist, but he just can't do it. But oh, Curly Joss, did you want to say something? But I didn't want to talk over you.
Oh, you're good. I was about to say when you said the Omen, I'm like, I have seen that.
Okay, well, good. We hit upon one so far that you see. Okay, so again, I don't want to like go on and on about these movies. I kind of want to give a brief synopsis about them. I think everybody's got the gist that this is a killer baby movie. Um, and if you like killer baby movies, if you like killer kid movies, I think you will enjoy it. Um, I will say I don't think it's the best of its kind, but it's certainly worthy of at least one watch.
We all know
So,
what is the best killer kid movie is.
okay, so what's your idea of the best killer kid movie? I just want to hear
I
what
would
you
probably say the original Children of the Corn.
that is a good one. That is definitely a good one. Um, but and I love it, and it's Stephen King, and it's awesome all the way. I don't care what anybody says. I love the movie. But I would probably have to go a little bit further back to, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie from, like, I believe it was 80 or 81, Bloody Birthday, that has the killer kids in it.
No,
It doesn't just have one killer kid, it has several, and these kids were born during an eclipse, which, because there was an eclipse, they talk about it in the movie. There should be something missing from these three kids' personality. And it turns out it's their conscience. They can kill somebody and it doesn't phase them. They can shoot somebody in the face, it doesn't phase them. They can kill their teacher, it doesn't phase them. They can kill their babysitter, it doesn't phase them. These are kids that will poison you at their own birthday party. They will put poison in the icing on the birthday cake.
Then they know I'm gonna eat that icing too. Those some bitch.
Uh,
So I've never seen that movie, but I'm definitely gonna check that out because I
yeah,
like a good kid movie. Those something about kids killing people. It just creeps you out more than adults killing adults.
it's sadistic's what it is. I mean, the just the thought of that. I mean, that's more sadistic than killer babies because killer babies, I'm not saying they're stupid or they're mentally deficient, but their minds are new. They haven't grown into their mind and learned to think logically yet. Um, when kids get a little bit older, they start thinking logically. And when you got these kids that got logic and are crafty and all that anyway, and they don't have any freaking conscience and they want to kill your ass, that's dangerous.
That would be a good stream. Killer kid movies. That'd be a good stream. That'd be a fun stream alone.
And I would like to do that at some point. That is a good idea. Now, back when I was doing the Seductive Poison show with Jenny, I don't know, oh Curly Jaws, if you ever remembered me doing that or remembered anybody talking about that. But I did
Mm,
that a while back before Steve and I were even together, actually.
mm,
And then early in our dating days, me and Jenny. Jenny was the girl that CK and Uncle Bill, and she is a beautiful girl. She is beautiful. And actually, CK takes credit for getting her and Bond together. So CK takes credit for a lot of relationships that happen, like on around the dead pit circles. But Jenny was somebody that CK and Uncle Bill talked about a lot or when I first started listening to the show. And that's why I started talking to Jenny and we found out we had like a lot in common as far as the horror movies. So when I wanted to do the Seductive Poison show, she was one of the first people I asked, "Hey, do you want to, be on this show with me?" So we would do an audio only show usually at least once a week there for a while. And we did a Killer Kids episode one time, and that was really fun. I enjoyed that. So yeah, that I'll definitely put that in my wheelhouse for a future stream. So, oh, Curly Jaws probably doesn't have anything much more to say about It's Alive since he hadn't seen it yet, but he he sounds like he might want to look into both of these that I talked about. So that's good. I'm introducing people to some different movies. And my
yeah, it's always fun to get some new movies to watch. You know, you can only watch Rob Zombie's Halloween so many times.
that's right.
Like I love that movie, but I've seen it like the one movie. Okay, in the past probably 5 months, the movie I've watched the most is Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Ah, okay.
I've watched that movie probably at least once a day for the last five. I've watched it a lot in the last few months. Like I probably watched it at least once or twice a week.
Have you watched the any of the new Beavis and Butthead shows?
Yes, I like it. Some of like I like it. It's just like I feel like they're like I know Beavis and Butthead are supposed to be stupid, but even in the newer show, they act even more stupid than usual. So I'm like,
I think so.
I like I know I like it. Like I'll laugh, but it's not like I just like the old Beavis and Butthead. The new
I,
one, I could get a chuckle out of it, but it's not the, I don't know.
I thought that way too about the new movie that came out here recently. I liked it and I laughed at several things in it, but I was like, can they really be this stupid? I mean, I was kind of thinking like you are. Like, can they be this stupid that like somebody could tell them that they need to go here and they end up turning the wrong way and going and spending the whole entire movie in the bathroom, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's like I enjoy it, like I like but I'm just like I don't know, like I like it. I don't hate it. Like I'm glad they're back. It's something like I'm curious because Mike Judge said he wants to bring back King of the Hill, so I'm curious, and he's
See,
gonna
I
do it with
love
them.
King of the Hill. I love that show.
And they're talking about bringing that back, but I'm curious about how the animation's gonna look, and they're talking about it being it's gonna be 10 years after the events of the end of the series, so
Uh,
Bobby's gonna be older, all that. So I'm curious how that would go.
mhm. Yeah, I kind of am too. I don't. I would like to see where they're going to go with it, actually. But um, so I'm going to move along to the next movie. Anybody can jump in there at any time. Oh, Curly Jaws, you can too. Just tell me, like I said, tell me to shut up, quit talking. You want to say something? Um, but moving on to the next movie is The Omen, which Curly Jaw says he has seen The Omen. And this, again, this is the original Omen with Gregory Peck and Lee Remick. And gosh, I'm totally forgetting that kid's name. Oh, this is awful. Do you remember what the kid's name was? His real name that played Damien?
Um,
Golly. I
but
didn't think I would
I
forget.
don't. I've hit this way too much. I don't read shit.
Well, maybe somebody else will remember in the chat, but that kid, like talking about, killer kids or creepy kids, I think this kid is creepy because he doesn't freaking have to say anything. All he has to do is give you that look, and you're like, just kid, don't look at me. Don't, because when he looks at you, something bad is going to happen. And one of the chilling scenes, and I still find this scene chilling when I go back and rewatch The Omen, is when the nanny or the babysitter says, "It's all for you, Damien," at his birthday party and jumps out
Oh,
the window and hangs herself. I mean,
that's
that scene is still terrifying to me and creepy, and it still works, and it works better than like even like when the guy gets his head cut off by the glass. I mean, that's a shocking scene and it works,
mhm,
but it's not terrifying to me. The scene that where Damien has total control of that nanny, so much so that she hangs herself in front of a whole bunch of people at his birthday party. I mean, how
it's
sadistic is that? Um,
like that's that movie alone. Like they don't make movies like that no more.
and I don't think they could anymore.
Like people would see like, oh, you're gonna have somebody hang themselves in a movie. No, that ain't gonna work, player. Teddy Long ain't gonna let that happen, play. You
Exactly.
gotta make it. No, like if
I mean, and you had the scene with the priest getting killed, and that is a cool kill. And like looking at the photos later where they like you see photos and you see something just almost like it's underdeveloped in the picture, like a picture of the priest is taken before the priest dies, and there's a very faint, looks like a bar coming down, and then a few scenes later the priest is actually struck by some kind of big metal spike that goes into him. So I really liked all of that, but the scene that always sticks with me is the nanny hanging herself. And so what that is doing is opening it up so he can get a nanny that knows who he is, that knows he's the Antichrist. And she's totally in league with the devil. And she wants to protect Damien from anybody possibly getting rid of the Antichrist, because they know if the Antichrist gets rid of the apocalypse and the end of the world and all that stuff will not happen, and the Antichrist won't be, and the devil won't be able to take over the world, and they want that to happen. So you've got the introduction to a new nanny who's got the inside track on everything about Damien and the devil. And you've got this dog too, that is very sadistic, the Rottweiler looking dog. And you don't want that damn dog looking at you either. I mean, you don't want Damien looking at you. You don't want that dog looking at you. Because something bad is going to happen if either
You
one of
don't
them
want,
looks at you.
you don't want that damn child looking at you.
That's
What,
right.
is that the only two things you don't want looking at you? Is there anything else in this movie you don't want looking at
Um,
you?
yeah, well, I don't want to be around any panes of glass that might slide off a truck and cut my head off. I don't want that either. So,
No, that's I don't. Anytime I'm behind anything, like if it's like wood, anything that can fall out, I don't like to be behind something like that.
oh, well, look who's here. Oh, CK's in here. Let's put
Oh
his.
shit balls!
He says, "What's going on, boss? How many yummy gummies has old Curly had?" I don't know, CK. I didn't ask him.
I had a 300 milligram one and a 250 milligram one.
Well, if I had done that, I wouldn't be sitting up right now. So you're doing good. I'd be laid out somewhere, I'm sure, if I had done that. But so, oh, Curly Jaws, is there anything you want to bring up about the Omen before we move on to the next one?
It's definitely it's a film of its time. Like it definitely shows. Like there will never be another film with that shock value like The Omen.
Mhm. I agree. A movie like this would not get made today. And some people think I'm full of shit when I say stuff like that. That certain movies with certain subject matter wouldn't get made today. They'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about, Dana? Look at all this sadistic stuff that comes out or has come out in years previous." The torture
Yeah.
porn stuff and
But
all
look
of
how
that.
long. But yeah, but look how long it took for that to happen.
Mhm. And I
Like
think I think everything has to be so PC now. And no,
the
The Omen is definitely not PC.
no. And there's a movie that came out in the theater. I don't know if you. I can't remember if you and Steve saw it yet or not. The black. Is the black phone or the phone
Um,
or
the Black Phone, Steve actually, my dog's making all kinds of noise back there. But Steve actually sat down and watched the Black Phone. Now, I don't know if he downloaded it or what, but he was watching it at home. And I can't remember what format he was watching it on, but I saw parts of it, and the parts of it that I saw, I thought it was, it looked decent. I eventually want to sit down and watch it all the way through, and I
it
think
definitely.
Steve said it was just okay. I don't think he was just completely wowed by it, but
Listen now. For me personally, it's probably it definitely had some Stephen King vibes.
mhm,
Definitely some Stephen King vibes.
yeah. It vibes, and I thought, with Stranger Things being out, I think they threw in some Stranger Things vibes as well.
I I'm one of the rare people that I did not like Stranger Things.
Really. I I guess I was a holdout on Stranger Things when it first started, but boy, when finally did find time to sit down and watch that first episode of the first season, I was hooked. I it didn't take me long. So I think I binge watched it after that. I was like, I got to find out what happens next. And I was just like binge watching episode after episode. And then, of course, I got caught up and I had to wait for more episodes to come out. But
Hmm.
so, like I said, you guys keep talking about anything that you want. I am going to move on to the next movie. Otherwise, we might be here all night and pull an all nighter. And as I've said before, I know Monday's coming sooner upon us rather than later. So I want to make sure everybody gets their beauty rest. Um, but the next one I wanted to talk about is the toolbox murders. And no, this is not the toolbox murders that Toby Hooper unfortunately did. All I was doing when I watched the Toby Hooper one, and I have great respect for Toby Hooper. God bless him. He's no longer with us now. But I don't know what that mess was that he directed called the Toolbox Murders with the coffin baby and all that stuff. But I'll stick with the original drive-in classic Toolbox Murders with Cameron Mitchell in it. It's got Cameron freaking Mitchell in it. Okay. So say what you want about Cameron Mitchell. I think he's great in this. This is the perfect drive-in movie. I would love to get a chance to actually see it at the drive-in. This was also referred to by Stephen King as his favorite horror movie at that point in time that I guess he was interviewed. And they actually do have a Stephen King quote on the front of this that says, generates some genuinely scary moments. So I don't know if I would really call it scary, but it's an exploitation movie. The killer uses many implements that would come from a toolbox in order to kill these women. And it's women that are primarily getting killed, and it's usually women that are showing their bodies and dancing naked in front of the window, and you know, this is definitely another movie that wouldn't get made now. And I'm going to tell you one scene primarily. Well, number one, people would say it's too misogynistic against women, which I think's a bunch of shit because I'm a woman and I like a ton of these movies like this. But people would probably say, oh, they're saying bad things about women. They want to torture and cut up women and beat them with hammers and, whatever. No, that's a bunch of crap. But anyways, there is a scene, and I don't want to embarrass anybody by saying this, but it does include masturbation by a woman in a bathtub while a country music sounding song called Pretty Lady is playing in the background. This woman is pleasuring herself in a bathtub full of bubbles. So, if you guys are into that kind of stuff, definitely watch this movie. If not for that, for the exploitation. I mean, that's even
Do
included in the
do it for the bubbles.
do it for the bubbles.
Thumbs up for the bubbles.
uh, but oh, Curly Jaws, have you seen this one? Have you seen
No,
Toolbox Murders?
I've
Okay,
heard about it. It sounds familiar, but the name, but I've never. No, I haven't seen it.
okay. So Um, as I said, Cameron Mitchell is in it, and this is not going to spoil anything for you by me saying this because they don't do a really good job of keeping the killer secretive. So I will tell you, the main killer turns out to be Cameron Mitchell. So there I said it. And if you watch the movie, you'll say, well, Daniel was right. They didn't do a really good job of hiding it because I'll tell you, in the early scenes, the killer has a ski mask on, but he's going around humming to himself while he's getting these tools out to kill these women with. It's clearly Cameron Mitchell's voice humming. There's no
Mm.
there's no doubt about it in this movie. So and they reveal him to be the both killer and kidnapper of this young girl who he kidnaps, and I don't know if he has any intention of killing her because she reminds him of his daughter who I believe died in a car accident. And they show flashes of this car accident happening, but they don't really give you a whole lot of insight other than you find out that her cousin, who also turns out to be a crazy ass killer too, was messing around with his cousin. And when he starts talking about that in front of Cameron Mitchell, it drives Cameron Mitchell insane. He his, his nephew keeps going on about how they were in love and all that stuff, and Cameron Mitchell's just like going ape shit. He doesn't want to hear this. Um,
Mm.
so I'm
He's
assuming
not
they were
having
right. I'm
it.
assuming they were first cousins and not like cousins twice, two or three times removed. You know how sometimes people say, if they're third or fourth cousins, it doesn't matter. It's not like they're blood or
Their
anything.
brother and sister. Ooh,
But
Alabama.
I just cannot. I have a lot of male cousins, and I wouldn't think of being with them in that way ever. That just freaks me
Well,
out.
like I had a cousin do that twice,
Mm.
and I'm just like, you're all fucking sick.
It weirds me out. Ew, I don't know.
Like, I mean, whatever. I mean, like, if I mean, no.
Now,
Same.
somebody else that is in this movie is Anita Corsalt, and that name may not sound familiar to most of you guys in here, but Anita Corsalt was the girlfriend, one of the later girlfriends of Andy Griffin on the Andy Griffin show. So Andy Taylor's girlfriend on that show. Um, so I thought it was kind of odd seeing her in this role of a mother who was having to work nights in a bar and stuff like that. That was so far removed from the Andy Griffin show. I can't even tell you how far removed that is. Um, so also, Marianne Walter, who is actually adult film star Kelly Nichols rather, is in this film. She's naked in the most audacious scene. She is actually the girl that's masturbating in the bubbles
Bubbles.
and gets to run around completely naked and wet from the bathtub with Cameron Mitchell chasing her with a nail gun. So you get
I
all of
think
that.
I think I did see this movie.
You think he did?
I think
Okay.
I think I might have now. That sounds familiar.
Okay. So
Maybe.
that's a big scene in the movie. So if you're remembering that, then you probably have seen it. Um,
Mhm.
I think also that particular scene, I don't know if you guys remember, but like many moons ago, I think they did a Phil Donahue expose on exploitation movies and how they were, misogynistic against women, they were harmful, people shouldn't watch them, etc., etc. And I think they actually showed the nail gun scene, minus the nudity, I believe, on the Phil Donahue show. So um, evidently this movie was a big deal in that department. This was actually 1977, so it was a late 70s entry. I would have been 1 year old when this movie came out. And um, so do you have anything that you want to comment on about Toolbox Murders, old Curly Jaws, before I move on?
Well, now that I remember, I think I might have seen this movie many moons. I do need to I'm definitely going to rewatch it because it sounds familiar when that one scene, so I might rewatch it.
Okay. Well, if you had the ability to watch 4Ks, I would highly recommend you picking up the 4K because it really does look good for a low budget exploitation film from 77. I think it looks and sounds really good.
Hmm.
So, moving on to the next one. This is one that I remember, or I remembered pieces of it from the days when my parents would take me to drive in movies, and that is Death Ship. And Death Ship, like this movie has freaked me out for years. There are certain scenes in this that I really can't pinpoint why they freak me out, but they do. Um, and I think part of the reason why it's so chilling is because it has to do with Nazis. And anything to do with Nazis, Adolf Hitler, all of that type of stuff, and what they did to the Jewish people, and the torture and all of that, having people dig their own graves and gassing them in gas chambers. And, I could go on and on, but it's just that stuff is so realistically gruesome that I just don't even want to think about it. Um, but I think that's part of what makes this movie a little bit more chilling than some of these that I've talked about tonight. So this has George freaking Kennedy on it too, and I love George Kennedy. Um, he's actually going to be on one of these other films I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But George Kennedy is plays a guy who is head of a cruise ship. I guess he would be captain of the cruise ship, and this is going to be his last cruise, and they're forcing him into retirement. And needless to say, he's pretty bitter about it because well, the guy doesn't really look young that's taking his place. It's played by Richard Crenna. But compared with George Kennedy, somebody George Kennedy's age at that time would probably be thinking, "Oh yeah, look at this young, wet behind the ears guy going to take my place." So he's bitter. And he's kind of grouchy, and he really doesn't like being on these cruise ships with all these rich people. He just wants them to leave him alone, basically, and let him run his cruise ship. Let him sail his ship and just leave him the hell alone. So he's kind of grouchy to everybody. Richard Crenna is, of course, looking forward to taking the captain's helm. He's got his family on the cruise ship, uh, including two little kids that drive George Kennedy crazy. Um, and the little boy tries to steal George Kennedy's cake at dinner, and so you have all that enjoyment even before you get to the scary parts. So then along comes this other ship, and we just see flashes of this ship coming towards the cruise ship, and it's going faster and faster and faster, and we know it's almost like an Alfred Hitchcock thing where you show the bomb, you show the people in the stands, you show the bomb, you show the people in the stands at a ball game or whatever, and it's kind of nerve wracking. You know something's going to happen. So then this ship ends up running into the cruise ship and causing it to sink. Well, you've got a small band of survivors. You've got George Kennedy. You think George Kennedy's dead at first, but then he comes out of the water and they pull him on this makeshift raft. They or maybe it's a life preserver. Yeah, I think it's like one of those lifeboats or whatever. So anyway, they end up pulling George Kennedy into the lifeboat, and then there's a few other survivors, including Richard Crenna. His whole family survives. Imagine that. So they end up boarding the ship that actually hit their cruise ship. They don't know it, um, but they wonder why there's nobody on this ship. Why is the ship covered with cobwebs? You know, where is the crew on this ship? So it turns out that this is a Nazi death ship, a Nazi death interrogation ship, where they basically tortured people on this ship to get them to give up information, or maybe just because they wanted to torture them because they were Nazis. So at first they don't realize it's a Nazi death ship, and they're just thinking, "Oh, we found some dry clothes in here. Uh, there's some food here." And one of the creepy scenes that I remembered, and I remembered from when I was a kid, was there's an old woman in the group of survivors, and they're all watching this movie that they found. And they've got it on a reel to reel projector, and they're watching and having a good time. Um, the old woman ends up finding a jar of what looks like peppermint candies or something like that. And so she's eating them while they're watching the movie. And the kids are sitting in a row in front of the old lady, and they start hearing strange noises coming from behind them. And the little girl turns around and she screams. They turn on the lights, and the old woman's face looks like it's mutating or rotting off or something. Whatever she ate is causing this. And she's like, "What is happening to me?" And she's like going, trying to get some help. And the kids are going, and they're running away from her and stuff. And you see this old lady following behind them with her face all messed up. So, um, we have many more scenes like this. There's a scene where a girl is taking a shower and blood starts coming out of the shower head, and she nearly drowns in blood in the shower. Um, a guy ends up in a bunch of skeletons. He falls into something in the ship, like the hull of the ship or something opens up, and he gets dumped into all these skulls and skeletons and stuff. There's a scene where there's a film of Adolf Hitler, and the Nazis are doing, that crazy walk and march and stuff that they did. And it's projecting on this guy's bare skin. And he's like, "Stop, stop, stop." And they about never get this film turned off. So there's a lot of scenes like that I find particularly disturbing. Um, and they certainly were disturbing when you're a little kid watching this on a great big screen. And for instance, you're seeing that woman after she ate the candy and her face is all like messed up. And you're seeing that, very large in front of you. And you're very young and you're thinking, holy crap, what the heck? So that was a movie that definitely stuck with me for years and years and years. But when it came out on Blu-ray, I had to get it. And actually, I have two versions of this. I have the Code Red version, and I have the version that Scorpion came out with, which we all know Code Red is run by Bill freaking Olsen, Bill Banana Man Olsen, whatever you want to call him. Um, and that guy is crazy as a loon. Um, so I'm not even gonna like I could have a whole live stream just on how crazy Bill Olsen is, but I won't. Um, but I actually like this is the Scorpion version, and Scorpion is run, I believe, by Bill Olsen's brother. And Bill Olsen's brother is more sane than he is, and I think he does a better job putting the movies out. So, in my opinion, if you want the better quality one, try to get the Scorpion version of this. So, oh, Curly Jaws, are you familiar with Death Ship at all?
Well, when you first mentioned it, I was thinking of the movie Ghost Ship, and then I'm
Uh,
like, oh, okay. I'm like, wait, no, we're thinking of two different movies.
yeah, yeah. But do you think after me talking about it, do you think this would be one that you want to try out, or are you going to stay away from it?
I mean, something about the lady's face with going falling. I don't know. Something about that. Just I don't know if I could deal with that.
Oh, hey, Blissful's in here too. Miss Tex is in here. Texas, you say, Banana Man is a dope smoking moron. Let's put that up there. We got to put that declaration on there because I would certainly have to agree with that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next one. We're going through these pretty steady. Um, I hopefully can get this done before midnight. Um, so the next one I wanted to talk about is Deranged. This is the Arrow release of Deranged. And I love this. I can't help it. I love this tagline for this movie. Pretty Sally Mae died a very unnatural death, but the worst hasn't happened to her yet. It is sort of reminds me of the original Last House on the Left when they say something similar. Um, that, you know, I think they say Mary 17 is dying, but the worst hasn't happened to her yet. So that tagline is the only thing about this movie and Last House on the Left that's similar. Um, but Deranged is pretty much loosely based. Keep in mind, I say loosely based on Ed Gein. And there have been several movies that have said to be, either loosely based or based on Ed Gein. Oh, Curly Jaws, are you familiar with the story of Ed Gein? I don't know. I think old Curly Jaws might be frozen. I don't know if I lost him or not. Okay. Yeah, I think I did lose him. So, old Curly Jaws, if you can hear me, if you wanna get back in here and if you want to click on the link and come back, I'll add you back. if you need to send me a chat message in here, I can resend the link to you. Um, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and talk about, Lord, I hope not. Shoot, speaking of things being dead, I need to charge my wireless mouse here, so I'm just going to plug it in because I can't move the mouse cursor around. I hope that wasn't. I hope this happening wasn't what caused him to. I think he just froze. I'm hoping that's all I have, and I hope. Caused myself to go. Okay, I'm back. hold a, Bliss, will you say, yeah, hold a mirror under his nose? Well, I accidentally clicked something and knocked myself out of the studio. So um, maybe Curly Jaws was tired of hearing me ramble too. So maybe he just wanted to leave. Okay. So what you said, Texas. Let's see. You say read the book Deviant by Harold Schechter. I'll have to look that one up, Texas. That sound, I'm interested, morbidly interested in a lot of stuff like that, different serial killers or whatever you want to call them. So um I don't know how many of you in here have seen Deranged. Um, I'm hoping at least one or two of you of the five of you in here have seen this. Um, but it does say real life Wisconsin serial killer Ed Gein inspired many distinguished films, including Psycho, The Silence of the Lambs, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But they say none is quite as disturbing as Deranged. Now, I don't know if I would go that far, but I do think that Roberts Blossom, who many of you will probably remember from things like Christine, who said that he's the guy that sells the car to Arnie and Christine. He's also on the holiday favorite, or at least the holiday favorite at my house, of Home Alone. He plays the neighbor who they think is the South Bend shovel slayer, and Kevin spends a lot of time being afraid of him before he gets to know him. That is one of his more, I guess, family friendly roles. I guess Deranged and uh, Christine. Although his acting is great in both of these, I don't think that they would be things that would be considered family friendly. Um, so I do think he gives a very convincing performance. Robert Blossom does, as um, they don't call him Ed Gein. Um, he's called Ezra Cobb in this movie. But it very closely follows the story of Ed Gein. As many people know that have read or watched anything about Ed Gein, they know that even though Ed Gein's mother kind of henpecked him, she didn't treat him very well. He still loved his mother. And so when she died, he was very disturbed by that. And Ezra Cobb is also within the film Deranged. Um, and then he literally cannot let go of his mother. And so he digs her back up, brings her back to the house. She's a corpse, of course. And then he ends up like killing women and bringing them home to mama. He ends up digging up people that have died, primarily women, from the local cemetery, and bringing them home to his mother, setting them around the table, talking to them, talking to his mother. Um, and Robert's Blossom, I don't know what his influences were to get to prepare for this role, but whatever he did, it worked, because there are some very disturbing scenes in this. Because you literally, for the majority of the movie, have a man sitting in his house surrounded by corpses, talking to the corpses. And not only does he do that, but he, makes lampshades out of skin. He has faces that he's peeled off of these people, some of the people that he's killed primarily. And they're just kind of hanging up around the house and stuff. It's just very disturbing. Um, and also, a girl ends up being field dressed like a deer. For anybody that knows anything about deer hunting and has ever seen a deer being field dressed, can you imagine a person being field dressed like that? I mean, cut open like that, and just, the organs and everything pretty much cleared out. I mean, I've seen a deer. I'd seen my dad gut a deer or field dress a deer more than one occasion when I was growing up. And it's pretty gruesome. So I would not like to think about that happening to a person. Guys, I'm going to step away for just 1 second to tend to Brandon here. Okay, Brandon, hold on, bud. Here, Brandon. Oh, boy. Okay, hold on. Hold on, buddy. Be careful, sweetheart. Hey, 71. I'll just call you 71 there. Sorry, guys, had to step away and take care of Brandon. He's a very old man, and he has to wear a wrap around his middle all the time now, because he basically, poor guy, leaks all the time. So, anyways, as I said, I'm not going to like. I get the feeling that poor old Curly Jaws isn't coming back, so I hope to goodness I didn't offend him. Um, so I hope I didn't offend him, but I don't think I said anything offensive. Hope not. Um, so he may have just, I don't know, maybe he lost his internet connection or something like that. Um, but like I said, I'm not going to go, on and on about each one of these movies for too awfully long. I just kind of wanted to give like a brief synopsis on these, talk a little bit about the highlights of them. So if Old Curly Jaws does not return, I'm probably going to go through these last few pretty quickly because I've been on here for almost 3 hours now. And although I love having somebody on, live, and I was having a hell of a good time with Old Curly Jaws, I had a hell of a good time with Texas. You say, damn, Old Curly is high as fuck. Oh, goodness. That may have been what happened. He might have actually, ended up passing out. I know, and again, Steve would probably kill me if he knew I was telling this stuff. But for you guys that weren't in on the earlier days of Dead Pit, you didn't get the chance to see this stuff. But Steve was more of a heavy drinker when I first met him. And he's not anymore. He slowed way down in that department. Hey, Reggie. This is my dog, Reggie. He likes to come on the streams every once in a while, don't you, boy? Um, but anyway, Reggie, you can sit up here if you want to. You can see, you guys can obviously see what a good boy he is. He's so sweet. Um, well, thank you, Blissful. I'll have to. Blissful tells you says you're beautiful, Reggie. You like that, don't you? His tail's going. I know you can't see it now, but his tail is going a mile a minute. He just loves all the attention, don't you, boy? So, like I was, I was talking about uh Steve, and the early days of Dead Pit stuff. Back when they were doing like the Saturday night deals and stuff like that, where everybody would get in the chat and talk, and CK and Uncle Bill would get up there. Sometimes when Uncle Bill couldn't be on there, CK would have other people on there, and so sometimes Steve was on there. And as I said, Steve was more of a heavy drinker then. And sometimes somebody would say, "Where'd Steve go?" Because his camera would still be on, but Steve would be nowhere in sight. And like a couple of minutes before that, you would have saw, if you were looking, you would have saw Steve slide slowly down until he was out of view of the camera. And that was because he had drank too much and he just ended up passing out and going to sleep. So, I mean, although those were fun times, I am so glad that Steve doesn't drink like that anymore, because as we all know, that's not real healthy for anybody. And there have been a couple of times that I have partaken of the alcohol a little bit too much and got sick. So that is definitely something I don't want to repeat. So anyway, that is Deranged. I do recommend this one. I believe Tom Savini did, there were some early effects work by Tom Savini on this as well. So moving right along to the next one is Graduation Day. And I hate that old Curly Jaws is not in here with me now to talk about some of these, because I would really love to know if if he's seen some of these I'm talking about. Two, if what he thought of them, if he had seen them. Um, So, graduation day has the tagline there are 200 seniors at Midvale High and 7 days till graduation. The class of 81 is running out of time. And this is actually, I've talked about this humorously. This is actually a new slip cover for this. Steve had bought me the graduation day Blu ray a while back. And then recently, Vinegar Syndrome came out with a new slip cover. You know how they sell these slip covers for $7, and a lot of times everybody goes ape shit over them. And right before this slip cover was released, I told Steve, I was like, I don't know why people spend $7 to buy these slip covers. Well, they got to buy another slip cover to put on their movie. And so I kind of had to eat my words a little bit because I told Steve, he said, well, they're going to come out with a graduation day slip cover, Dana. And I said, I don't need it. And then, like a couple of days later, he said, this is what it looks like. I was like, oh, I got to have that. So there you go. Women, they change their mind on a day to day basis or an hourly basis, don't they, girls? So, um, anyway, I just find that amusing. And Steve likes to tease me about it now. But Graduation Day, basically, this was a movie that the first time I saw it was not at a drive in, but I feel like it's a great drive in type of movie. Because it's not a high budget movie. It's exploitation slasher film through and through, which is perfect for drive ins. But the first time I saw it was actually on VHS, and I believe I rented it and I watched it with my aunt who may have watched it before me. And oh Lord. Guys, I hope that Brandon's not having another accident. I do apologize if y'all see something come out of him that's not very pleasant. In which case I will have to get up and clean that up. He's been having both problems, urinary problems and the other problem too. Um so I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but it might happen. And if CK is still in here, he will have a big old laugh about our dog shitting in the floor again. But when you have older dogs, guys, or even sometimes when you have puppies, these kind of things happen, unfortunately. Um, and Brandon's been having a little, it's not been like his bowel movements have been that solid. And so just try, I'm going to try to cover up them over there just so you guys don't see something unfortunate. Okay. So, Texas, you say you just did you pick up the movie or did you just pick up the slip in the last sale? And if you got the movie, I just wondered what you thought of it if you've seen it. And Blissful, you say, I'm slowly learning all these things. So much to learn. It's fun. Well, I'm glad. I mean, I'm happy to have you in here at any time. If you ever wanted to be live, I know Texas was live with me along with Darren last night for the watch along. If you feel comfortable doing that, even in an audio format, I'd be glad to have you. Um, you also say I have a 14-year-old dog. I understand. Okay, so Brandon is a little bit older than that. He's 15 and some months, but yeah. So I'm glad that you guys are totally cool with that, but I just didn't want to gross anybody out. Which is why I was trying to slide over and block that. But Texas, you say I got the movie with the slip. Okay. So, Texas, have you watched it yet? I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Oh, awesome. And I know Texas said that you were in another group, like a paranormal group, and he was telling telling the everybody in there about my channel. I so appreciate that. I mean, I don't expect everybody to come over here and subscribe, but if you're interested in what I do, the type of movies I talk about, or maybe you want to learn more about these type of movies, then I always say the more the merrier. So I appreciate that so much. That you kind of sharing uh, the word about my channel and what I do. Okay, Casey said, "No, I've seen the movie. It's good, but disjointed." LOL. Okay, well, no, I get that. I could get the disjointed part. So a little bit about the plot of this movie. This concerns. I mean, and it starts out kind of with a bang, sort of, because um, there's a track team that is having a big race, basically. And Laura is a person that you don't see except at the beginning of this film. And here's why: because she has an aneurysm during the race and dies on the track. And she gets the win, but then her coach, played by the late great Christopher George, in a unfortunately a kind of cringy role for him, but he still does his best. Um, Not quite as good as his Pieces role, but it's still pretty good, I think. Um, Blissful, you say, we have carpets, not hardwood, so I often need a carpet cleaner. Yeah, we had a lot more carpet until I finally just told Steve, I said, if we're going to have 5 dogs in the house of varying ages, then I think we need to get rid of as much carpet as we can. So we originally had carpet back here. As you can see, Steve put down some flooring back here. It's not hardwood, it's facsimile hardwood. Also, our living room, we recently had the carpet pulled up and vinyl, like it looks like hardwood, but it's vinyl flooring, the snap together kind. And we had a guy come and install that because Steve wore himself out doing this. And so he said, if we have it put down in the living room, somebody else is going to do it. So we hired somebody to do that for us. So it makes it much easier to clean. I still don't like cleaning dog poop and dog pee up, but who does? But I do it because I love my animals and I don't want my house to stink. Um, you say that's better than hardwood. Well, it's definitely a little less expensive than actual hardwood. Um, so so after Laura dies, her boyfriend, who is also on the track team, is devastated. Her teammates are devastated, but not. I think I would be a little more devastated if my teammate on the track team died in the way that Laura dies in this film. Um, Also, I enjoy certain scenes in here really well because there's a scene where they're roller skating, and a band is playing, and while people are roller skating and the band is playing, it's flashing from the band to the people roller skating, and then to Linnea Quigley's character, who actually Linnea Quigley replaced another actress in this movie, an actress who did not want to do the topless scenes. And so she was promptly replaced. Linnea Quigley came in. Linnea Quigley is a fantastic actress. She's a great person. I've met her at a convention. But she is one of those that is willing to pop her top for a movie. And I have hold no ill will towards her. But evidently, this other actress would not do it, and they needed somebody to do it. So she got replaced. So, when Texas said it was disjointed, I'm sure he's talking about other things other than the replacement of this actress. But it is a little bit confusing because there are some early scenes of a blonde on the track team that's obviously not Linnea Quigley. Then all of a sudden, this girl is gone and Linnea Quigley is in there. And it's like, what? What the heck? Um, so that is a little confusing, but I think Linnea Quigley does a great job. But what I was getting to is I like this scene, the way it's set up for the kills, because Linnea Quigley and the guy she's with are killed in the scene, but it flashes back and forth between the band, the people roller skating, and the death of Linnea Quigley's character and the guy she is with. So I think that is just pulled off fantastically, in my opinion. Great scene, great kills, and then of course you have the band back there going, yeah, like that, and it's just kind of pounding and very I don't know if you would call it more punkish or rock or what. Texas seems to be more musically in tune than I do. So he may have something to add to that. Texas, you say Linnea Quigley and her two friends. Yes, two friends that probably maybe by this point in time she had surgically enhanced, if you know what I mean. And I think you do, as Joe Bob would say. Um, Blissful us ladies would probably wish they were imaginary friends. But unfortunately, I know what Texas is getting at. But um, again, Linnea Quigley is a really sweet person, and back when I was doing the blood type fanzine pretty regularly, I interviewed her. She was a great interview subject. And also, years later, when I met her in person, she was really sweet. So, definitely if you get a chance to meet her, I would say go up and meet her. Um, so, slowly, we begin to realize that somebody is killing off members of the track team. And it seems like the thing that got this started was the death of Laura. So we have some Jallo aspects. The killer is putting on black gloves in a lot of the scenes before they kill people. I actually think this scene is very Jallo-esque, with at least with the killer scenes. And in my opinion, I don't think that we're really let in on at any point in time who the killer might be. There are some red herrings. I'm not going to go into who those red herrings are, is because I don't want to spoil who the killer is for those of you that have not seen it. Um, you're purposely ignoring Texas's comment. I get that sometimes. Well, a lot of times actually, I purposely ignore some of Steve's comments he makes, um, especially when he's watching movies that have a lot of female nudity in them. So um, I, I find this movie to be a very adequate slasher. I can totally get Texas saying it's disjointed, but he did say it was good, so he doesn't hate it. So um, Texas or anybody else that's still in here at this late hour, um, do you have anything that you'd like to add about graduation day? I got used to asking old Curly Jaws, but he's dropped out of sight. So um, I'll ask some of you guys if there's anything that you want to add about these last few movies that we're going to go through. Um, so if anybody has anything they want to bring up about graduation day, speak now, forever hold your peace. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Um, so um, I'm going to give it another few seconds, and then you can still comment on any of the movies we've talked about. But in a few seconds, I'm going to move on just so I don't hold everybody up to the next movie, um, which I. Texas, you said that scene with the band is hilarious and Christopher George is great. I agree with both of those things. I totally agree with both of those. So, um, we're going to move on to the next film. We've got 4 more to go after this one. I'm going to try to make it quick, guys, because I think, for one thing, I don't know if y'all noticed that I look flushed or not, and no, I haven't been drinking, but I think my temp is starting to go back up again, unfortunately. Probably going to end up having to take some more medicine, but I am going to try to get through these last few movies for you guys. So the next one I want to talk about actually also has Christopher George on it, and I believe Linda Day George may be in this one as well. But maybe I've got this confused. This is a William Girdler film, and it is Grizzly. Andrew Prine's also in this, and Richard Jekyll. We got the tagline of 18 feet of gut crunching, man eating terror. And I will tell you before I get into a little bit more about this movie, is there was a point in time in my movie watching life where I didn't much care for creature films, animal attack films, unless they were like spiders, roaches, stuff like that. I didn't there was a point in time where I did not feel that grizzly bears, even gigantic grizzly bears attacking people, was really effective as a horror film. I've changed my tune in the years since, and I find these films, grizzly bears or alligators, what have you, to be just as effective as killer spider movies, as killer cockroach movies, as killer ants, whatever. I guess I thought at one time that the creepy crawlies, snakes too, the creepy crawlies were just more weird and creepy and unsettling. But these movies like Grizzly have their place as well. And it was odd that I felt this way about movies like Grizzly because at that point in time I had seen Jaws and I loved Jaws. And that was about a killer shark. So I don't know why I felt the way I did about films such as Grizzly, but for whatever reason I did. Um, So a little bit of plot, uh, only because it's been a second since I've seen this. So when an 18-foot, 2,000-pound grizzly bear starts mauling campers and hikers at a state park, a park ranger played by Christopher George springs into action. But the job is too big to tackle alone, so he enlists. Excuse me, I'm also sneezing quite a bit. He enlists the aid of a naturalist played by Richard Jekyll and a helicopter pilot played by Andrew Prine to take this freak of nature down. Meanwhile, the giant grizzly, not content with picnic baskets, continues to kill indiscriminately, leaving pools of blood and piles of body parts in his wake. Can the ranger and his cronies end the grizzly's reign of terror without resorting to excessively extreme measures? This post Jaws nature runs rampant thriller was directed by William Girdler, who also did Day of the Animals and The Manitou. It was a box office hit and the top grossing independent film of 1976, which was the year I was born. So this movie is as old as I am. It's 46 years old. So I don't know how everybody in here feels like about animal attack films. But I'd love to hear, your thoughts on this. Um, Now I love these types of films. Um, but like I said, many moons ago, there was a time period in my life where I just didn't feel like these were effective. So I'd love to hear what some of the rest of you that are left in the chat would say about these animal attack films, such as Grizzly, or even about Grizzly, or even if you guys have seen Grizzly. I kind of was thinking Texas may have seen it. Um, Texas, you said there's a new Grizzly Adams series with old Curly Jaws, Mr. T, Greg Evigan, and the ghost of Kenny Rogers. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. That's great. Brandon's taking a break now. So I'm going to move on to the next film, which also has George Kennedy in it. And it also has Chris Lemmon in it as well, and Greg Henry. Um, and some of you may know what I'm getting ready to talk about here. Excuse me. But feel free to talk about Grizzly or any of the others that we've talked about, and also to discuss Just Before Dawn. This was a movie that I was late to the game and watching it. It's another one. Uh, Texas, you say, when Brandon attacks. Hey, TJ. You say, hey there, gang. I like Grizzly. I enjoy Prophecy also with Talia Shire. That is a movie I don't think I've ever talked about in any of my streams. I need to go back and watch that. Actually. But like I said, Just Before Dawn, I don't know how I missed this one. I really don't understand how it slipped under my radar. Somebody else that is on this is Mike Kellen as a hunter in early scenes. TJ, you say you just slid in, LOL. Well, you made it here in time for the final 4 of the 12 movies that I talked about tonight. But if you want to see old Curly Jaws, you'll probably have to watch the replay, TJ, because he was on here live on camera with me for the first few movies, and then we got to talking about Deranged, and I lost him. So, and he didn't he didn't message me or anything needing the link again. So maybe the gummies kicked in. Maybe that's what happened. So I hope to have him on again at some point, or anybody else that wants to be on. I actually, TJ, I mean, he was having great conversation with me. He was very entertaining. But about the sobriety, I'm not so sure on that, because he said he had taken 2 gummies. I think he had like 500 milligrams of, I guess, THC in him at that point. So I don't know if I would definitely call him sober. Um, so again, I will say I don't know how I missed this one, but it's a great little film, a solid film in my opinion. I'll give you a little bit about the plot of this one. So, 5 friends set out for a weekend camping excursion to drink, frolic, and skinny dip on an isolated piece of land one of them has inherited. Despite ominous warnings from locals, including the forest ranger Roy McLean, played by George Kennedy, and Ty, Mike Kellen of Sleepaway Camp, a hollering drunken hunter claiming to have witnessed his friend's evisceration by the hands of demons. The friends trek further into the foliage. They never listen, do they? Um, the crazy Ralph type of character returneth. So, co-starring Greg Henry, Mean Dog Blues, and Rich Man Poor Man, Deborah Benson, September 30th, 1955, and Jamie Rose, TV's Lady Blue, Chris Lemon, TV's Thunder in Paradise, and Ralph Seymour of Underground Aces. And something else Ralph Seymour was in was Killer Party, I believe. Extremely eerie and beautifully shot with a horrifying twist that will make you wonder if any of the friends will survive those dark hours just before dawn. Code Red proudly presents Just Before Dawn, painstakingly restored from the original 35 millimeter internegative. This is a Code Red release. Bill Banana Man Olsen was at the helm of this. But guys, honestly, Just Before Dawn is one of those releases, fortunately for us, put out by Code Red that looks decent. Okay, so no sparkler head in this one, like the Redeemer had sparkler head. Um, and if you want me to explain sparkler head, I will. But if nobody needs me to explain that, I won't, because I've told that story about sparkler head on more than one occasion. I don't want to bore people. Um, but yeah, just before dawn has got, in my opinion, a cool ass creepy killer. The storyline is very tight to me. I don't feel like there are any huge logic holes in this one. Somebody can tell me they disagree with that statement. Um, I think it's as good a film as any of the other Friday the 13th clones. So, I honestly find this film enjoyable to watch at any time. It's a great summertime film. It would be great if somebody could get a 35 millimeter copy of this and maybe possibly get them to show it at Georgetown Drive-In or something. So, um, I'm actually noticing that with this light on, it's making this look a little bit better, the light behind me, which normally when I was using OBS, it didn't work out so hot, but it's given kind of a warmness to my skin a little bit. Brandon must be going back to bed now. Oh, Red, he actually, he's not very mobile. He's over 15 years old, Red. So he's okay, but he's not real stable. His back legs give him trouble from time to time. So yeah, I know that's probably disturbing to watch him struggle to get up. And if he had did it any longer, I would have gotten up and helped him. So I don't want you to think I'm intentionally ignoring my poor dog, because once he's able to get up, he usually goes on and finds his bed and he'll lay down and go to sleep. So I'm sorry if that was disturbing to you. I guess me and Steve are so used to it because we've been dealing with this for over a year, maybe 2 years on and off. So, um, but yeah, like I was saying, I wish somebody would show this at a drive-in because I feel that this is like a fantastic drive-in movie. The material is just screaming to be shown at a drive-in. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I urge you to try to find a copy of this to watch. It could possibly be on Tubi or maybe YouTube. So, yeah, try to, seek this one out. I think it's creepy, it's effective. And like I said, as far as Friday the 13th clones, I think this one hits all the bases. And so, um, you guys feel free to keep putting stuff in the chat about the different things, the different movies that I talked about. We're on the final three of this stream, and these next two are going to be creepy crawly films. And there's one of my other little dogs. She was probably coming in here because she probably thought I was relaxing on the couch and she was going to come lay down with me. But hey, Darcy. Um, so, um, the first one of these two creepy crawling movies is Kingdom of the Spiders, starring William Shatner. And I know a lot of people make fun of William Shatner at this point in time. And he does, there are some funny scenes in this. And not all of them include William Shatner, but some of them do. But there is one particular scene that I can't help it. I always laugh at. And maybe I shouldn't laugh at it. But there's a pilot of a small plane that they send over this area to spray for, I guess, critters of, bugs and stuff that it's going to eat on the farmer's crops. Okay. So, so we know at the time that the pilot flies over this area that we've already seen that the spiders are starting to take over this town. And these aren't regular garden variety spiders, these are freaking big tarantulas. So what happens is these tarantulas get in the plane with the guy. He's already up in the air. They start crawling up his leg. And I'm not talking about one, I'm talking about many. This guy lets out a scream that sounds like a woman. And I mean, it's bad what happens to the guy within the movie, but when he lets out that scream, I can't help but chuckle and laugh every time I hear it. And so they call this a wild science fiction nightmare. I guess I could see a little bit of science fiction in there, but it's mostly horrific to me because, but for people that know a lot about tarantulas, yes, yes, Texas. Oh, here we go. You say good old Shatner, always over the top. Yes. Uh, and I don't know if he was asked to do that a lot of times or it was just part of his makeup that, his personality type, his acting chops, whatever, that would make, everything that he was in, he would do that. Blissful says, stop picking on Grizzly Adams, Texas. I'll have to put this up here. But so even though what I was going to say is a lot of people that keep tarantulas as pets probably say, well, the tarantulas aren't dangerous, but there is I think it might even be on this Blu-ray. Um, I thought there was something on one of these releases where they actually talked to a spider wrangler. And he was actually talking about how some of these tarantulas are very poisonous and are aggressive. I mean, they will literally raise up on their hind legs and they will bite your ass. Not literally bite your ass, but they will bite you. Um, so even though I guess the tarantulas that people keep as pets are normally not that aggressive, nor are they poisonous, or they've had their venom removed. I don't know. I honestly don't know how all that works. But I think a lot of the tarantulas that were used in Kingdom of the Spiders were those aggressive kind the ones that, like I said, would raise up on their hind legs and just lay into you. So I think they had to be very careful with a lot of the spiders that were used on this movie. And there are many, many scenes where it's obvious that these are live spiders that are crawling on people. And it's like, geez Louise, you would not you could not pay me enough to do that. There is no way, because spiders are something that really freaks me out. For anybody that was watching my stream one night when the spider crawled across my desk, and this was a smaller spider, I just went like this and was slapping at it with the Blu ray case and trying to kill it. So that's how I am with spiders. Snakes, rats, even things like cockroaches and stuff like that do not bother me. But you get a spider near me or it gets on me, I'm going to lose my shit. So, even though I like watching something like Kingdom of the Spiders, where spiders essentially take over an entire town and build a web over the entire town, which the final scene where the few survivors are looking out of the hotel or whatever that they're holed up in, and then it shows what's obviously a model of the town covered in spider webs, and oh my god, these spiders have covered the entire town in webs. And that William Shatner and the rest of the gang are not getting out of this alive. uh, the spiders are going to get them. It's obvious. um, TJ, you say Kingdom of the Spiders is rather campy, though the ending is creepy. And the attack scenes aren't too bad. Plus, it has a little girl who played the creepy daughter in the Amityville Horror. Something else that girl was in, if anybody has ever seen the original Sybil, about the woman with the multiple personalities. I think she had like 17 different personalities. And I don't care about all that stuff that came out after the real woman was dead, that they said that she faked all this stuff. It's like, don't just write a book after somebody's passed away and they can't take up for themselves, and the psychiatrist that treated her is also passed away, and you want to talk about how this all was faked. I know I'm getting off on a totally different thing, but Sybil was a movie, the one with Sally Field playing the Sybil character. That is, yeah, she did play, that little girl played little Sybil. Um, those were disturbing scenes with her. Yes, they were. That movie is so effective, and I believe the story. The woman's name that this movie is about was not really Sybil. Her name wasn't really Sybil, but I believe her story. And like I said, there's at least one book that came out in the years after the woman's death, after her psychiatrist's death, um, that pretty much tried to debunk the multiple personality disorder, and even tried to debunk the whole thing about the woman being brutally abused by her mother, who also suffered from schizophrenia and maybe um, other mental health disorders as well. I mean, Sybil, or the real lady, she didn't suffer from schizophrenia, but because her mother was so sick, and back in those days, people didn't get, they still don't really get the treatment that they need for these illnesses. She was allowed to torture and abuse her daughter for years, causing all of these separate personalities to come out in order to protect the core person. So for somebody to wait till after the two key players have passed away in this story and then say, oh, she just lied. And by the way, she made up the stuff about her mother abusing her. Um, why would somebody come up with such a horrifying story? And as TJ said, the scenes where the little girl from Kingdom of the Spiders is playing the young Sybil, the little girl Sybil. I that movie, even though it is a fantastic movie, is very disturbing to me still yet. I like to watch it because it has fantastic performances in it. Sally Field is fantastic in it. The actress who plays her mother is fantastic. Um, and I'm totally forgetting that woman's name right now. But yes, that is the same girl that is in this film as well. And there is also a kind of disturbing scene in this film with her where the little girl is on the swing and she's screaming and there's all these spiders crawling underneath her, just almost directly underneath her feet. And she seemed really horrified. I don't know if she really was, but she sure seemed to be. So, and again, although Kingdom of the Spiders is really one of those um, creepy crawly films that really makes me feel like I've got spiders crawling on me every time I watch it. I'm seeing spider legs out of the corners of my eyes. It still is effective. Even though, as TJ said, there are some things that are campy in it, I still think if you have not seen Kingdom of the Spiders, definitely, I'm not asking you to buy it, but if you can find it where you can watch it for free on Tubi or YouTube or whatever, or can borrow a copy from somebody that has it, then I encourage you to watch this. I think you will enjoy it. Unless you're just so, I'm pretty scared of spiders, but if you're so scared of them that you don't think that you could sit through watching a bunch of tarantulas crawling around and crawling on people, then I wouldn't recommend it. TJ, you say it made Sally Field get noticed for not just being Gidget or Flying Nun. She did more serious roles because of Sybil. And Sally Field is an incredible actress and another one of those versatile actresses. I mean, I know I got off on the whole Sybil thing, but that movie, in my eyes, is just an incredible, um, albeit heartbreaking and disturbing movie, but still, the performances in it are absolutely incredible. So, it looks like I've lost about all my people. We're down to three. We've got a couple more movies to cover, and then I'm going to get off here. Um, so the next one is, of course, another creepy crawling movie, and that is The Nest. And I love this artwork. I can't help but love this artwork. This is ingenious. Having the woman in her bra and panties with a gigantic cockroach on her. I mean, how could you not love that? And it says the tagline is "She's just an appetizer." So, um, this is, I'm not sure, this was a Concord Pictures release from 87, but I'm not sure it was produced by Julie Corman, of course, but it does have Lisa Langlois in it, or Langlois. And I know that she is a Canadian actress. So I'm not really sure if this is a Canadian made movie or not. Somebody can feel free to put this in the chat if they know. TJ, if you know, you usually seem to be pretty knowledgeable about all this stuff. Feel free to put that in the chat if you'd like to. Um, So again, I'm going to read a little bit of the plot for the nest. The quiet town of Northport is being overrun by cockroaches. Sheriff Tarbell, played by Frank Luz, believes that genetic experiments being conducted by the Intech Corporation are the cause. Confronted with a potential disaster, Mayor Johnson, played by Robert Lansing, calls for help. When Dr. Hubbard, Terry Trace from Intech, arrives, and this woman is batshit crazy, this Dr. Hubbard, if I'm remembering right. She's the one that puts her hand in the terrarium or aquarium with these roaches that are obviously very aggressive and are biting her. And she's like, she's almost like getting off on it. And they literally have to pull her hand out of there. So she was always like the batshit crazy character in my eyes. So she realizes that an innocent experiment has gone terribly wrong. Ordinary cockroaches are turning into creatures with a taste for blood. Worse, the roaches are genetically mutating, literally becoming whatever they eat. So that you've not only got these cockroaches that are attacking people, but it's almost like a thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing, where whatever these cockroaches eat, they mimic. And so there's some great scenes of when they start consuming people, of the people slowly, the skin sliding off and then becoming a giant cockroach. So, I mean, people may think that this is campy as well, but again, it to me, it is the perfect drive-in type of movie. Um, So TJ, you say Lisa Langlois was in Happy Birthday to Me. I know it was filmed in LA, not sure if it was Canadian produced. Okay. Um yeah, Happy Birthday to Me was another one that had a lot of Canadian actors and actresses in it. So a lot of times you're not really sure if these were actually filmed in Canada. There are some like Black Christmas, uh, funeral home, stuff like that, that I believe are, I'm pretty damn sure that those were Canadian filmed in Canada. Um, but a lot of times they have American connections. And the last movie I'm going to talk about is definitely, as far as I know, filmed in Canada, but does have some American connections. And you might be able to pick out what movie I'm going to talk about here in just a second. So, this I mean, this is another movie that would be perfect for the drive-in screen, the drive-in crowd. Um, Maybe not so much the drive-in crowd that likes to watch new movies on the drive-in screen, but us old school fans, we would love this. I know I would love it. Um, let's see. TJ, you said, plus the sets were used in Slumber Party Massacre too. That is right. TJ, I love it because, like, I'm gonna have to get you on here live some night for one of these streams because you are so knowledgeable. Like, you you got all these little bits of trivia that I absolutely love. Some of it I'm familiar with, some of it I'm not. And so I always learn stuff from you whenever you're mentioning stuff, and it's great. So, you know, probably not tonight because I'm almost done. But if you're interested in being on a live stream, just let me know. That way I can send you the link and you can be on here with me. I'm trying to get like a whole bunch of people on here. I want to have at least six of us in here, five people plus me, of course. And I'm hoping we get to that point at some point. So, yeah. Again, people might consider this campy. It's like cockroaches attacking people. them consuming people and the people becoming giant cockroaches. All that may seem totally um, campy to the majority of people, but to me, campy does not mean that it's not fun. That it doesn't mean that it's not worth watching at least once. And so that's how I feel about The Nest and a lot of other movies that I've talked about tonight and other movies that I've talked about at other points in time. So I highly recommend The Nest, especially if you've never seen it and you like these insect attack films. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Okay. So TJ, you say I listen to a lot of commentaries and BTS features, LOL. But yeah, next time I'm free, I'd like to be on. Yeah, you just let me know, TJ. And like I said, nobody has to be on camera if they don't want to be. If you choose to be and you've got a camera, you are more than welcome to. If you don't feel comfortable doing that and would rather it be audio only, I can certainly accommodate you. So, yeah, I would love to have you on in any capacity. If you're on camera, awesome. If it's audio only, it's awesome. So, that's going to segue me into the last film I want to talk about tonight. Again, I've almost went on for 4 hours, not quite 4 hours, but I'm going to try to make this last one quick so everybody can get to bed and get their beauty sleep, get ready to start their work week, whatever. Um, but the last one I want to talk about is Prom Night, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, and it also has Leslie Nielsen in it. This is a movie, again, that I remember the beginning of it when my parents would go to the drive-in a lot and I was younger and they would take me along for a few select films and Prom Night was one of those. And the beginning scene where the kids accidentally cause young Robin to fall to her death out a excuse me out a window was something that stuck with me for years. And I didn't really know the title of the movie or anything else. But then when I heard my mom and my aunt talking about Prom Night, and they talked about the beginning scene, and I was like, that's that movie that I remembered, my parents taking me along to the drive-in and then watching. And I was like, I've got to watch the rest of this movie because that was the only part for years that ever stuck with me was the beginning part. And the kids playing that pseudo hide and seek game, only they did the thing where the killers are coming, and like instead of somebody being it, they were the killer, and they had to go around and find the other kids where they were hiding. And when they found one of the kids, they had to join the killer. So I kind of thought that was a little bit of a sadistic version of hide and seek for kids to be playing, but I don't know a whole lot about Canada. Perhaps that was a game that they played. I don't know. Um, so prom night has the really, I don't want to say ingenious, but because this similar tagline has been used in other movies, but I do like it. It says, "If you're not back by midnight, you won't be coming home." Um, so the only problem with this movie in the early days of me being able to watch the whole film was how dark this film was on VHS and early versions on DVD. So when I found out, and this was after Steve and I got married, that I found out that this was coming out on Blu-ray from Synapse Films, and Synapse had actually put little teasers of screenshots out, and Steve and I both saw those screenshots, and we thought Reggie scared me to death. He made a noise over here. You guys probably saw me jump. Um, Um, Reggie's up here again. TJ, you say, I understand the people who aren't into it, but I really enjoy prom night. I have issues, but it doesn't hurt my enjoyment and can rewatch it. Yeah, I mean, nothing in a lot of horror films is 100% logical. And I've said that before, but I'm like you, TJ. It doesn't really ruin my enjoyment of these films. I still find something to like about them. Um, Again, this is one that's kind of Jallo esque. You have a killer that has black gloves. He's wearing a mask, a black mask. He's pretty much all in black, or she. I'm going to say he or she because it could be a woman. I don't want to give this away. Um, so this concerns, young Robin is accidentally falls to her death during a game of hide and seek. Um, she unfortunately is a child that stutters, and the kids kind of make fun of her, don't want her joining in their game, and then of course tragedy strikes. Um, then 6 years later, um, Robin's brother and sister, her twin brother and her sister, now played by Jamie Lee Curtis, are getting ready for their prom. And someone is calling the kids that were instrumental in causing Robin's death. Um, and I like the way these phone calls are set up too. I think it's very creepy. Um, Now I can clearly tell by shadows and stuff who the killer is, but I'll tell you, the first time I saw this movie, I was not able to figure out who the killer was. I mean, again, you have some red herrings, um, but I love Jamie Lee Curtis in this. I love Casey Stevens, who plays her boyfriend. Casey Stevens, unfortunately, died several years ago. He is no longer with us. Um, Leslie Nielsen is no longer with us. Um, but you also have Paul Jaja's great music in this. Although when Paul Jaja was interviewed on this Blu-ray, he doesn't seem to be he doesn't speak very favorably about this film. Um and TJ probably knows what I'm talking about as well, because if he's seen the behind the scenes stuff and the special features on this Blu-ray, if he has it, then he totally would know what I was talking about. Um, so I am just totally having like a brain fart here. Good Lord. I met this guy too at a convention, and I am totally blanking out. Hold on, because I cannot stand to forget somebody's name that acted in this film. Michael Tuff. Okay. I remembered it before I looked it up. See, I like I said, I do believe that this long COVID is affecting me being able to remember certain things. Yes. Yes, TJ, prom night, everything is all right. And actually, if anybody has listened to the commentary that Steve and I did for prom night many moons ago, Steve actually says that. He says, prom night, he says, everything's all right, right, Dana? At the beginning of the commentary. Um, so Michael Tuff, I think he's really good playing Robin's brother after the kids are grown. Um, and I was able to meet him at the same Horror Hound convention where Jamie Lee Curtis was. So that was great for me. I really enjoyed that. He was a very nice man. Um, insisted that I call him Michael and not Mr. Tough, like I like I said when I first went up to him. So Prom Night is definitely a movie that, is enhanced watching it on a drive-in screen. I mean, even this many years later, I still remember those opening scenes of Prom Night and seeing them on that gigantic drive-in screen. They have stuck with me this long. I would imagine they will stick with me uh, for the rest of my life, unless the brain fog from the long COVID takes them away, which I hope it does not. Um, so, um, the thing I was talking about with the early versions of this film being so dark have definitely been remedied by this release. And some people may disagree with me, but I'm going to stick to my guns here. I am eagerly awaiting a 4K release of Prom Night. And you're probably thinking, geez, Dana, they can't make that look any better than the Synapse Blu ray. But man, I want a 4K. I do. Can you imagine like a 4K with Dolby Atmos sound with that disco soundtrack? And you guys are probably thinking, oh, Dana, why? You know, but that is it. I have finished these 12 movies. This may be another one that I may do a part two at a later date and time. Um, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I want to thank old Curly Jaws, even though he's not in here right now, for joining me live early on till we got to Deranged. um, he was in here for most of the movie. So good night, Menelect. And Menelect was in here, but Menelect usually, I mean, and that's okay if he just wants to listen. Whoever wants to come in here and listen, I'm not saying you got to participate in the chat all the time. Um, I would like some people to talk in the chat, but I want to say thank you to everybody that showed up tonight, that was in the chat, that was watching. Oh, Curly Jaws for being in here for like the beginning parts of the stream. I'd love to have old Curly Jaws back on. TJ, anytime you want to come on, you let me know. And I don't know if I'm going to do anything tomorrow night, but Tuesday night I will definitely be doing the third week of Argento versus Fulci. So if you're up on all your Argento and Fulci and you want to join in on that, that's groovy. We're going to be doing or I'm going to be doing a watch along for Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, aka Night Warning, with the batshit crazy, out of control Susan Terrell. I'll be doing that on Saturday, probably starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, because unless Steve changes his mind right now, he tells me he's going to take a Saturday off. So, um, and of course, I will be doing Cheese Extreme Wednesday on Wednesday. And I don't know, I might come up with something for Thursday and Friday. Who knows with me? But again, I'd like to thank everybody for participating, for hanging out with me for almost 4 hours. Now it says we have 7 people in here. So I'm probably getting the most people I've had all night right at the end when I'm saying goodbye. So I am with that. All that being said, um, TJ, you say A OK, Dana. Good night, all. Good night, TJ. Um, with all that being said, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night and try to get some rest. It is almost midnight here. It's about 3 minutes. So I will see everyone on the flip side. You guys have a good night now.